Hello, welcome to the Honest Wargamer. I'm your host, Rob. Welcome to round 4 of the battle for Copenhagen. I'm joined by my gorgeous co-host, Mr. Adam, the Trollslayer Mumford. Hello, Adam. How are you? Are you well?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Really good. Really excited. 2 more rounds of the Battle of Copenhagen. A 2-dayer. We rarely get a 2-dayer. So we got to see the cream of the crop rise to the top, as they say. Yeah, absolutely. And with a top bracket... Yeah, easy peasy, as they say. Top bracket for after round 3 yesterday. So the only people who are on 3-0 at this point, we have 2 Tzeentch forces, one of which we're seeing play today. We have 1 Lumineth Realm Lord, again we're seeing play. And then the big ticket item we're hoping that gets through to round 5 is our man Morton with his Khorne force, and there's also a Nurgle army. So it's it's just order versus chaos. Destruction are out. Death are out. So how do you feel about that, Adam?
I mean, you were always going to see order up there. You were always going to see a chaos. And destruction, if we had Orkman playing destruction, maybe we would have seen it. But he betrayed the faction, and that's probably why they're not up there.
Yeah,
so
he did.
That's what I'm assuming anyway. Because Orkman's not playing destruction, that's the whole reason.
And I would agree with that. Now, Morton, we talked about his Khorne list actually the other day. So very excited to see him potentially play all the way through. And in his Path to Victory, so this is the Khorne force. Path to Victory beat Seraphon yesterday. So that's really going to have some sort of... that. I mean, that's something of note, ultimately. However, that isn't our match today. Me and Adam are going to be taking you through a bit of a grudge match in some ways. So we'll cut over to the match now, and you can see what we're talking about. So we've got Lumineth Realm Lords versus Disciples of Tzeentch. Now, we've seen both of these forces on the table before, and we've got Stephen follows with his amazing Tzeentch force. We'll go through the list in a moment. And we've also got Matt Goddlesborough back from the Bad Moon Loons. That's his team. They're back with his Teclis. Now, Adam, you and me commentated on his last game, trying to win the Hammer Time top 8, didn't we?
Yeah, and it did not. It didn't go well for Matt, should we say?
It did not.
A few things went a little bit wrong, and Skinks and Salamanders absolutely nuked his whole army, and I think it was just a bad time for everyone, really. So I think
really
Matt
bad.
Is here on stream for some bit of redemption, and this time, instead of going to Seraphon, he's got going to Tzeentch, the other probably powerhouse of Age Sigmar at the moment.
Yes. So actually, the only force to have 2 in the top bracket, so 2 Tzeentch forces into the top bracket. So yeah, they're looking very keen to take out the tournament. However, Lumineth would like to stop them, and Seraphon not being in that top pick. There were only 2 armies here. The most popular army was Tzeentch. So you can see why a couple of them have snuck through. Now, don't forget, there's another round after this. Matt obviously looking for that vengeance last time. And he's changed his list up a little bit as well. So let's start talking about all of the lists. Thank you to everyone who has joined us live. Thanks to Tubberall and Hypnocracken for subscribing. You're all brilliant. Hey to Chris CB, Stu, Shorty Paint Studios. You're up because you want to watch some cool Warhammer, I think. Speckles, morning, babe. Mr. Tiger, HMS Banksy, Deviant Dark, good morning to you. Got my COVID shot 24 hours ago. Feel like coming down with a bad flu. You've got this. Deviant Duck, you've got this.
I bet you want to buy all the Microsoft products now.
Exactly. Seraphon are actually fair and balanced. They're just a narrative force. That's
it's easy. Remember. That's why 20% of the armies or 50% of the armies for the World's Teams event are Seraphon in the Order faction. So it's fine, right? They're all fine.
They're narrative painting meta people.
Yeah, easy.
That's what you got to remember. Right, so let's talk about the list. So you can see it going down now, so it'll be quick. Matt Goddlesborough list, 660 points straight into that buff piece that is Teclis. Hopefully we see him do more than we saw him do last game when he was on the stream. You've got the Sinari Cathala. That's the general he's got, because it's Sire. Grand Nation of Sire, obviously. So he's going to be able to use those Aether Quartz for +1 to hit, +1 to cast, and also +1 save on those bricks. And also you can double down on that. Is that right, Adam?
Yeah, so Sire, you can use a command point to use an extra Aether Quartz. So if you use one normally you can only use 1 in that phase, whereas in Sire, if you use a command point, you can use an extra Aether Quartz. But you can also do that on the exact same unit. So obviously in the combat phase or in the shooting phase, you can say, I'm going to give myself +1 save. And then you go, I'm going to use a command point, give myself +1 save. So every unit has 2 Aether Quartz, and they can use 1 or 2 as long as you use command point.
Yeah, yeah. And they've got a reserve of 2 each as well, so that's something to remember. Now, what that's probably going to be used on a lot is that unit of Venari Wardens. So 30 Spearmen, as you can see, deployed at the bottom left there. And then another 20 Wardens in as well. And then there are 20 Sentinels. Now, last time we saw only 2 bricks of 20, but bumping up to that brick of 30, that's a terrifying combat block. 2 attacks each, 3/3, rend 1. And then, do they have rend? Maybe. But either way, they've got Sunblessed weapons, so mortals.
They have rend if they get charged.
Yeah, rend if they have charge. Thank you. But they've also got spell. Of course, one of the models inside the unit is a wizard, and if he casts blessed weapons, it's going to go up to mortal wounds on 5s. That's an average of 20 mortal wounds out of that unit, which is
absolutely
not
mental.
Absolutely
mental
wild.
Output.
Yeah, wild output. Now, to make sure that they can get into combat, there is 2 allies, 2 Achillean Alapexes with net launchers. So 2 Alapexes, so those allies come from Idoneth Deepkin. They're the sharks. We'll talk about them a lot. Those net launchers, if they hit the target, that's all they've got to do. As we know, Age of Sigmar, the most powerful ability the most powerful weapon is of course nets. If it hits you, you can't pile in. You can't pile in. And that's really important because those wardens have got a 3-inch range weapon, and then they can do some real shenanigans, which is super useful. And then there's also the spell portal for a good old Technado. And then there's also the Hessian Twin Stones, which is the ability to stack spell casting to make it so that your spell casting is more reliable. Adam, not a lot of bodies, and not quite the MSU style Lumineth that we've seen sometimes. Quite blocked up, right? Not 2 units of 10 Sentinels, but 1 brick of 20 Sentinels. You got any thoughts as to why we might have seen that?
I think in this list, obviously the 30 Wardens is going to be a real big power play. So he's got a lot of output in one place, and it means that he can buff them up. It means he can use more Aether Quartz on more people at a time, because you can only use up to 2 in a phase anyway. So if you've got lots of MSU and Lumineth, you can only use it on 1 or 2 units in a phase. Whereas if you've got 1 big unit, you can use it, affect more guys with that than if you were playing MSU. I also think it's just the way you have to build Lumineth lists at the moment, because they've only got a limited range until a few weeks' time when they're going to get doubled. You find that they have to sort of do this smaller build rather than that MSU build, unless they're playing Stone Guard or Dawn Riders. So I think if you're going in the Wardens, you sort of have to go for those big bricks and go for it in those buffs.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean the ability to double down with the Aether Quartz, I think is really, really important, and then be able to really multiply how effective that Aether Quartz is. But ultimately, I think board control was an issue that we saw Matt have last time. One of the things that we saw, and there was a lot of teleports, and his ability to he's not against the same sort of army, but that was one of the problems. So it's interesting that instead of breaking the army out into more pieces, he actually doubled down and honed the army into singular pieces. So a kind of almost a counterintuitive play, and I'm really excited to see how that actually affects his game plan. Now, let's talk about the Tzeentch Force, because the Tzeentch Force has not got a lot of bodies. Now, it's a Host Arcanum list. It is not. A Host Arcanum list, which means D3 flying units are going to be able to make a pre-game move of up to 6 inches. So that's a key part. Also, you can have Screamers as battle line. So we've got 2 units of 3 Screamers there. They're the battle line. You've got Archeon, the big man himself. We'll come back to him in a minute. Kairos, we'll come back to him in a minute. And then a Chaos Sorcerer and the Great Bray Shaman put in as an ally. We've got Pink Horrors, 1 unit of 10 Pink Horrors. And then we've got the Darkfire Demon Rift, which is going to be wow. We'll talk about that in a minute. Amazing. The Umbral Spell Portal and the Geminids of Ulguish. 2 of the most popular spells, probably in Age of Sigmar, the Spell Portal and Darkfire Demon Rift. Adam, Archeon in Host Arcanum. We've seen it a couple of times already.
Yeah, so Archeon in Host Arcanum is really good, because obviously he is a flying unit, so he will be able to use that pre-game move. He can also, obviously, Archeon in Tzeentch is just good because you get those Destiny dice. So with the Destiny dice, you can use the agendas that you can do. So Tzeentch can choose an agenda on a unit once a turn, and there's one that if you make a 9-inch or bigger charge, you get +1 attacks for the rest of the game. So you'll probably be throwing that on Archeon, using Destiny dice to auto charge that 9, giving Archeon plus attacks, And then obviously we can use, if he has extra 6s in his Destiny Dice pool, we can see things go in the sword easier. So Archeon in Tzeentch is a really, really good pick. And as well as that, with Host Arcanum, you're getting the, on turn 1, 3, and 5, I think that also they can also unbind one spell, which is going to be a really good pick into Lumineth. So he's going to be able to stop
into Teclis. Yeah, because Teclis, last time, one of the things we saw last match, if you guys want to go back and watch the halftime finals coverage where we saw Teclis play against Croak, Matt had to make some real decisions with his spellcasting, because Teclis, he can choose to cast a spell automatically and it can't be unbound, or he can choose 2 to cast at 12 or 4 to cast at 10. However, knowing that his opponent can definitely shut down a spell turns 1, 3, and 5 means that Protection of Teclis, which is easily like the auto spell, like last time we saw Matt decide to only cast Protection of Teclis, which was so vital, which is a 5-up DPR in a big bubble. You guys can kind of see it there. So everything underneath gets a 5-up DPR or Disgusting Resilience or whatever you call it. So damage prevention roll is massive. So Host Arcana pick into Teclis is just insane. Like, it's just so good. And it really gives Lumineth like a problem to choose. And it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny, this matchup, because Teclis is like, I choose to cast. And then Tzeentch will be like, well, I choose a 12 to unbind. Like, your choice. So there's so many options for Tzeentch in this. And then you got Kairos. He's got an ability to do a mortal wound spell that will do 6 mortal wounds. If he slays a model, he's going to create a spawn. That's really awful to do into those Sentinels. Really good to like pop into the Wardens in the right situation. Really, really good. Then he's also got the great Bray Shaman, and we've seen this before, Adam, Devolve. Do you want to talk to us about that?
Yeah, so Devolve is cast on a 7, I think. So cast on a 7, it's got a 18-inch range, and you pick an enemy unit, and you force them to move 2d6 inches towards the closest friendly unit. So the enemy unit moves towards you, basically. And we've seen the spell portals in this list. So what you're probably going to see is Kairos is going to cast Spell Portal, and then Kairos is also going to take the spell from the Bray Shaman, because Kairos can cast any spells from friendly wizards. So Kairos will then cast the Devolve, pick it an enemy unit, and bring it closer towards Archeon, so that Archeon can get into those things easier. Potentially bring in the Kevlar forward so he can instant kill it. Potentially bring Teclis forward to instant kill that, or even just bring something in so that Archeon can charge and then pivot round it.
Yeah, it's gonna be so interesting right now, like to see where these guys. So Stephen, so let's just talk about the players a little bit. Stephen Follows, great player, really lovely bloke, super lovely. Matt Goddesborough, same, lovely bloke, plays loads of TTS. Great to see them both on this table. Great to see them both engaged in this fight. Now, Darkfire Demon Rift, Adam. Oof. This spell right here.
It's gonna be naughty.
This is gonna be a disaster. Now, Darkfire Demon Rift, basically, if it flies over a model, it does some mortal wounds, but that's not the really scary bit. This is the one. It's fueled by sorcery. Add 1 to the number of mortal wounds inflicted by the endless spell for each wizard and other endless spell within 12 inches of model after it has moved. It's after this model's moved, each unit that suffers D3 mortal wounds. So this is D3 mortal wounds plus 1 for every wizard. And I don't want to surprise you here, but all of these things are a wizard.
There's a few wizards around.
There are just a few wizards. So the Lumineth Unix are a wizard. Cathal is a wizard. Teclis is a wizard. Archeon, if he gets over there, is a wizard. So it's brutal. Brutal. Many wizards equal great effects. I agree. Thanks everyone for joining us live in the chat. John Askham wants me to ask you, Adam, really quickly, that you were in his dream last night.
I'm in everybody's dreams.
Perfect. And there's also another question. There's also another question coming in the chat. What's your stance on the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Adam? Some people don't want to get invested in you as a co-commentator emotionally. If
move past them.
Wow. Okay.
Get with the times, boys. Sorry,
Adam, can you talk to us about the battle plan, please? Force in the hand, while I change the overlay to reflect that.
Force in the hand. There are 6 objectives on the board. You have 2 that you can tag in your deployment zone, and there are 2 that are in no man's land, and they sort of go in a diagonal line across the 2 board sides. You have 3 in your territory, and 3 in your opponent's territory. When it is say it's my turn, my opponent will pick one of his objectives, and that will be the primary objective. That objective is worth 3 points to me in that turn, and then obviously when it's my opponent's turn, I will pick one to be the primary, and that will be 3 points worth to them. All the other objectives are worth 1 point. So essentially, in each round, you can score 8 points. There is a maximum of 8 points available.
Yeah, 8 points available to you there. Yeah, like it's really, really interesting, especially with how light the bodies are for Tzeentch, and how aggressively, like how many bodies we see for the Lumineth, really. Don't forget 660 points are spent on Teclis himself, and then those 2 net launchers that we're seeing from the Alapexes, that's another 220 points. But so good, those Alapexes. So good. Svend, who's running this event, this is the Battle for Copenhagen. So Svend, one of the event organizers, he's one of, I think, 3 event organizers. Battle of Copenhagen is an event that happens every year for real life over in Copenhagen in Denmark. However, because of COVID, they've moved it all online this year. Next year, they're hoping to have it all back, which will be super fun. If you're looking for a really fun tournament to go to somewhere in the world, Denmark, Adam, let's go. I'm up for it. Let's do it. That's going to be really
all the
fun.
time.
Yeah.
Go for it.
This
like
is flying,
but let's do it anyway.
Do you know what? I've got more and more excited as we've talked through these armies and we've talked through what's going to happen here. There's like some big decisions, big plays
Teclis
to make.
In the sword. That's all I want to see. Teclis in the sword.
I think it's time
all
for
I'm
you.
here for.
Yeah, I think it's time for you and the Twitch chat to tell me what you want to see happen. Who do you want to see win? I want to thank everyone for joining us. John, Stephen, big love for you. Albin, thanks for being here and letting us know that we're playing in the realm of Uglu, so it is going to be extended range on those spell portals. Hey, Jim Pinkin, Cold Shoulder.
Uglu with the spell portal is going to be even worse for for them both.
Hey,
here.
Adam.
They both got it right.
Yeah, Adam. Let's talk about something. Let's talk about the Destiny dice.
Oh, those are not good.
Those are not good. So the issue here is what Teclis is really Archeon is really looking for is a double 6. He needs 2 6 in his Destiny dice so he can choose to make a 6-inch charge after a pre-game move. Didn't get any 6s. That's wonderful to see. Also didn't get any 1s either. Just got 2s. That's rough. That's
bad Destiny dice.
If you're a Tzeentch person, I want you to know that this is horrific. This is like
are the worst Destiny dice that you can get, and we're seeing 5 2s. At least he's got a few 5s so he can make that 9-inch charge. At least he's got that there.
He has.
And actually, I do not feel bad because I hate Destiny dice with an absolute passion. So you know what? Good. I'm glad.
Agreed. But really important for Stephen that he hasn't got that. Specifically, what Adam's talking about is that 9-inch charge he's looking to do. We've seen this play several times, right, Adam? We've seen this play. We've seen Kairos. Yep. We've seen Archeon. We've seen this pre-game move. He's only been able to move 2 units pre-game. And normally it's that 12-inch. It's those 2 6s in the Destiny dice which produce that big long bomb charge. Now he's got to measure it and see if he can get in. And that is just rough.
He's not going to be happy with having to measure things. He's not going to have to actually have to roll dice. It's just going to be... He's there like, why? I don't want to play Warhammer. What is this? I'm enjoying... If you look at Archeon's base down here, can you see he's got 2 mini Archeons? So Archeon on his base has 2 mini Archeons, and one is Owen Jackson's Archeon from yesterday.
What the hell? What's going on here?
Those 2 Archeons are the 2 Archeons that Archeon has managed to Archeon put in sword.
Over the weekend. So this Archeon has put the pretender. He's put the pretender Archeon onto his base. That is amazing.
The logic here was that Drogar actually ate them, and he's just pooped them out as mini Archeons.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, that's great. He should put anything that he puts in the sword. Now, if you guys aren't sure, if you've never watched Age of Sigmar before, not played, Archeon's got a sword, the Slayer of Kings. Slayer of Kings has got an ability where if you roll 2 6s to... Is it 2 5+s to wound, actually? On a to wound roll, then you just automatically auto-slay a model. And so he hasn't got a lot of 5s in that dice pool either, there, Adam, to choose to put in the sword.
It is 2 6s. You've got to get those 2 6s. So he has no Destiny dice to do it. So again, he's going to have to roll it and think, oh, I've got to get lucky. What is this?
Okay, so there we go. So first turn, first turn decision by Lumineth. Lumineth got the choice, and it has been given away to Tzeentch. Adam, I really do feel like the Destiny Dice roll could be like the death knell of the initial early game play. Like, huge problem.
I think Matt has obviously deployed quite far off his deployment line there. So he's clearly measured Archeon's threat range. He's clearly measured what the threat range of the Tzeentch is. And I'm going to assume, I'm not going to measure it, I'm just going to assume that he is out of range of Archeon turn 1, which is probably why we're seeing him go giving the turn. So he knows he's safe this turn, and then he can counter and potentially get that double. And obviously with those Destiny Dice, he's probably gone, well, I'm even safer now because you cannot guarantee the things you wanted to guarantee.
Yeah. It's such a massive play. Even the 2s, like the Pink Horrors, using 1s so that they can get damage and then pop out some more is always really useful. And that isn't there either. So, it's rough. Now, not forgetting that there is also 6 Screamers that can get summoned on in Host Arcanum. So they've got a little bit more board control. But if you were the Lumineth here, Adam, would you be using... I'd be basically trying to move very cautiously up the board, looking to engage my Sentinels in not Archeon, of all things, because he's got now... This is where we get to talk about a great ability in a moment. But I'd be looking to use the Sentinels to chip away at all of the scoring units very quickly, because there isn't a lot on the board. There's these 2 units of Screamers, they're easy to take out, and then there's another 6 Screamers going to come on the board. Get rid of those and you'll clear a lot of the backboard very quickly, and then you'll be able to do some scoring, which I think would be quite useful. And then Speedy Heesh can double the speed and movement. You could get Teclis flying all across the board. Seeing Spell Portal go down now, Tzeentch starting to generate their spell casting. Now, each spell cast by Tzeentch generates a fate point. A fate point is a summoning point that they're going to be able to use later, and there's a list of things that they can summon. And there's quite a few cast in this army. And then also, every time Lumineth casts a spell, Tzeentch are going to get some bonus points as well.
This Tzeentch is loving life. He's going to be like, oh yeah, give me all these fate points. Every time Matt casts a spell, he's like, thank you very much. Oh, you've cast another one. Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, no, this is a really nice play into them. Like, really, really good. So, it's a really strong list. Adam, let's talk about the Eye of Ed Sheeran, shall we?
Oh, great ability.
Yeah,
great ability.
Great artist.
It's a great, well, I mean, he is.
His early stuff on SBTV was just amazing.
Yeah,
cool. There we go.
But that artifact is a really good counter pick at the moment, especially in the meta that we're seeing. Because basically what it does is... I can't remember, is it an aura or is it if it affects Archeon? I think it's if an attack affects Archeon, all hit rolls of 6 have to be re-rolled. And in the game at the moment, there are lots and lots of abilities that proc something on a 2 hit of a 6. So, for example, obviously your Sentinels, all their mortal wounds are on 6s unless they cast Ethereal. All the Wardens, their thing, on 6s, they get mortals unless they cast Thingy. So Archeon's going to make them re-roll all of those 6s. So if the Sentinels shoot him, they're not actually going to be as effective at all as what they normally would be.
No. We've been kicked out. We've been kicked out the server, so we'll come back.
Maybe they just don't like us. That's what it is.
They do not. We'll get back into that game. Hold on. While we do that, yeah, Adam, the Eye of Ed Sheeran, like a super, super useful ability, and also works really well into Skinks, right? I think that's one of those key pieces.
Yeah. So at the moment, it's just a really good ability into what we're seeing in the meta. So obviously, does it on Sentinels. Hearthguard Berserkers get affected by it. Skinks, Chameleon Skinks. There are just lots and lots of abilities which you can use that Eye of Ed Sheeran on. So I think it's going to be really effective in this game. There's a lot of things that Stephen has got that is going to counter a lot of Matt's army.
Yeah, agreed. Also, just a quick note here for you, Adam. A lot of people appreciating the fact that against your green screen, obviously I've gone for some sort of city backdrop. You've gone for like a student flat backdrop as your green screen, which I think is like a nice image that you put.
It's actually the Warhammer factory now. There is no there's no longer a flat here. My bed is completely boxes. of Warhammer. Behind me is just boxes of Warhammer.
I gave
and
you
the
an
floor
out. I
is
gave you an
3D
out.
printers.
I could have told you it was an image you found on Google. That was the out I gave you. Yeah.
No,
like, so.
I am owning this. This is the real thing. This is how we live. This is my tiny £94 a week student flat.
Oh, hold on. There's some real server issues going on here today, gentlemen. This is
It's fine. We can waffle. We've got this.
I feel like a League of Legends match. When's the game ready? It'll be ready when we say it's ready. You wait in that chat and give me some emotes. Yeah.
Now throw in some FUBs and some other emotes. That
give us some emotes in the chat, please, everyone. That'd be super sweet. If you guys want to see the path to victory,
do the red versus blue thing. I like that one from the T Sports. That's my favorite.
Yeah, that works. But if you guys want to, look at the list, you can click !event in the list there, and that'll give you like the path to victories and the other lists that are available. It will show you the corn list that is potentially going to do really well.
Smashing it. He's got to beat Zinch now though, which is he's got to play Antu, who I think you saw on stream yesterday.
Yeah.
So they'll be playing till 2 o'clock anyway.
They'll be going to time. That's a fact.
So we're going to see that one go. So we probably won't be able to tell you the result of that one. We'll tell you that later on. But hopefully, I'm hoping for the corn. That's what I'm hoping for.
I'm hoping for the corn. I'm hoping for the corn. I think that's going to be super good. I think, I'm really looking forward to that.
Because Morton that's running the corn is the man of the tournament, isn't he? He's actually like a regular of the Battle of Copenhagen.
Yeah, so he's a local to that area, and I think that's actually really nice. That like, so you've got like there's definitely a TTS crowd. There's a TTS community, like people who play a lot of tournaments. They play a lot over the weekends. So there's definitely a crowd. But then when you do have them based in like local areas, you end up with like a local kind of contingent turn up, which I think is super cool. And of course,
love it. Yeah. So like
words.
obviously with normal tournaments, you'll see your regular crowd. So if you have the Sheffield tournaments, you have the more Sheffield lads coming up that maybe won't go travel to other tournaments, and it's sort of the same for Tabletop Simulator. You have your regular Tabletop Simulator crowd, and then when it's like their own local event, you're seeing more locals to that event turning up to it. So it's a very different tournament to what we've seen.
Yeah, and Morton got bigged up a lot. Morton got bigged up a lot to us on Friday, so I'm hoping to see Morton do really well and take the event out, because I think that'd be really cool to see. That there's like just a local absolute gangster who just doesn't travel anywhere, and then he's just like, I'm here now.
Just walking around the corner and is like, sup, let's do this. I've not looked at the meta in 3 years.
Yeah. Wait, what's good? It's starter box guys still good. I'll use those. This is what I'm out.
Games Workshop sold them to me at the start. I'm still in, boys. I'm still ready. Let's go.
Right, we're in the game. So turn 1, Lumineth have given the turn away to Zinch. Zinch are activating. So he's bought on all 6 screamers. All 6.
Yeah, those 6 screamers from the Fang Circlet, and then that top objective is the primary for Lumineth.
Yeah,
so that is going to be worth 3 points to the Zinch player. The bottom of the Zinch.
The bottom. We told you. Zinch is at the top, Lumineth at the bottom.
So the bottom one for Lumineth is the primary, so it's going to be worth 3 points to the Zinch player. But it means that these screamers over on the left can probably just zip over and nick that.
They probably can. It
wouldn't surprise me if Zinch are going to score the board this turn.
I think, but see, that's an interesting point, right? Like, I would argue that one of the things that that Matt is going to see here is he's going to drag intentionally these screamers over to this objective so the Sentinels can take them out, because Zinch are going to really struggle to put bodies on the board, and each loss of a unit is going to be very significant. So I don't think that they don't have the numbers to trade with. I think that's going to be really important, but maybe they will. And
I think it's worth that trade for 3 points, though. I think that trade is definitely worth 3 screamers for 3 points. I'd take that.
Yeah,
I'd take that all day of the week before Matt can literally walk onto the objectives and go, yeah, these are mine now.
Yeah.
You are not taking me off unless Archeon does a lot of work.
a load.
He has got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, he's doing lots today. I want you to know that. So, so the Bray Shaman has just cast the Umbral Spell Portal, and the Umbral Spell Portal having been cast using Destiny dice to cast it. All right, so yeah, he's not allowed to do that, so that's good. And then he rolled it out instead.
And cast it on a better than what he used the Destiny dice for anyway. So, all worked out. Tzeentch knew. It's all fine.
So he's now using a 7, a 2 and a 5 to cast Evolve. That's what we're seeing. Now, this is the big play. This is why he's not too stressed about the fact. Not too stressed. Oh, massive. So he would have been able to drag a unit out using Devolve 2d6 inches and then use Archeon to go in. However, Adam, let's talk about the aura that we get from Teclis. What does that give us?
Yes, you've got an aura. Is it from Teclis or the Castle? I can't remember. I think it is Teclis, isn't it? Yeah, so Teclis has an aura that basically, I think it's a 16-inch bubble of everyone in the army in that aura on a 4+ can ignore the effects of spells. So when you're talking about Tzeentch, it obviously have a lot of magic dominance that are offensive output from their magic. He can just sit there and go, on a 4+, I ignore it, 4+, I ignore it. So when we were talking about how dangerous that Darkfire Demon Rift is going to be, potentially it's going to do nothing. So it's just going to be on 4+. I'm just going to be ignoring all these things.
Yeah, so yeah, you're absolutely right. So that's one. It's called the Seeing Stone of Kelenar. Each time a friendly unit within range of this model's aura of Kelenar is affected by an endless spell or a spell cast by an enemy wizard, you can roll a dice. On a 4+, you ignore the effects of that spell or the endless spell on that unit. Then you pick an enemy unit within 18 inches of that unit, and then it suffers D3 mortal wounds.
Ooh.
So it's like a machine gun. Every 4+ that you ignore. So if he does throw the spell portal over, he could take a huge volume of mortal wounds back in return. There's so much play and counterplay between these two armies. It's genuinely fascinating, and it's all on some very key dice rolls. Those 4+, that's going to be really important. Some of those plays, there's a lot of decisions to make between these two armies, and I think it's going to be a really fascinating match. But we've had a load of buffs go on Archeon. Reroll wound, reroll to hit, and reroll saves, all coming from that Chaos Sorcerer Lord, using Oracular Visions and Demonic Power, the magic spell that he's got, and also his just War Scroll ability to buff up. I think that's good.
That Chaos Sorcerer Lord, if you have an Archeon, you're going to be seeing a Chaos Sorcerer Lord all the time, all day, every day, because that ability just to go, I instantly buff you, is amazing. With that +1 save, and then to go with that spell to do the reroll hits and wounds, is it? With that spell? So he's got a spell, reroll hits and wounds, throw it onto Archeon, and he is going to be going mental. It also looks like he's also been given reroll hits and wounds.
So he's been given +1 to hit and +1 to wound comes from Infusion Arcanum, the spell.
Rerolls
hit and rerolls to wound comes from Demonic Power. Ooh. And then Oracular Visions is what gives him reroll saves. He's basically hits on 2s. He re-rolls to hit into wound. He wounds on 2s, and he re-rolls his saves. It's really, really good. Yeah.
So that -1 to hit that the Lumineth are going to be getting for that Shining Companies isn't really going to matter too much, because he's still going to be on a 3+ re-rolling.
He's also a demon, so he's in Tzeentch, so he's also -1 to be hit as well.
Okay.
And so there we just saw the spell portal has been eaten and taken off the board. So we've got 8 summoning points on the board already, and Lumineth haven't even started.
That is a lot, because those Lumineth are going to be casting a lot of spells next turn. And if we get up to 10 pink horrors is only 20 points. So 20 points for 10 pink horrors, 10 points for 10 blue horrors. So he's nearly being able to summon really quickly.
So there we go. So Archeon is using a command point to make him run. Oh no! To run 6
Archeon's
inches.
Going those 6 inches with that run, and I assume he's just going to sit on those objectives and be like, "Yeah, come on, go for it, let's go,
come and fight me." Yeah, because you're right. Because like we talked about, the Sentinels don't actually have the output, so the only actual option he's got is to go in with the Wardens. And then when he's buffed to high heaven like he is right now, then he's like he's not unkillable, but he's in a really good position. Like
it's going to be a real struggle for even Wardens to kill him, because obviously they're going to be rerolling the 6s for their mortal wounds, And if they do get the spell to proc on 5s, then Archeon's got a 4+ ignore mortal wound save. So it's not a DPR, but it's an ignore mortal wound save. So even though those wardens are going to be doing those mortal wounds, they're going to be struggling to get them through, and then Archeon's going to be like, yeah, I ignore it on a 4+.
Yeah. There's
So
so much.
it's going to be a real struggle for Matt to clear Archeon.
Do you know what, Adam? This is a perfect game for you and me to commentate on, because it's just really a battle of ignorance. Belligerent ignorance. I'll ignore your mortal wounds. Well, I'll ignore your spells. I'll ignore everything. It's just belligerent ignorance is what we're seeing between these two forces. Yeah.
It's like I ignore when people tell me that cockatrices aren't a real army, because I'll have you know they are.
How dare you? Flame him all day long on Twitter.
Let's go.
Yeah, that's right. You topple that giant.
Is a thing.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun.
Big shout out to Mark Wildman in the chat. Lovely seeing him here. One of the event organisers of War in the Heartlands, an event that's happening in the UK in Leicester, I think around the October time. Loads of events started popping up all over the place now, which is very exciting.
It's going to be mental in that fourth quarter of this year for events. If Corona goes away, which we know it's not going to, but we can hope. If it sort of dies down a little bit, I think the UK is going to be going absolutely mental, especially for events. We're all going to be going to events, getting our drink back on and going, oh no, I've not done this in a year, and crying under tables.
I'm going to be very tired. But thankfully, thankfully, it won't generate any data, so that'll be fine. We'll see a lot of painting, which is the important
There's no data. It's all about the painting meta.
It's all about the painting meta.
That's what actually has been missed.
Whoa, so Archeon not making the decision to... Whoa, we'll see what this... There's a lot of decisions to make here. Okay, so the intent was to hold both objectives with Archeon, but of course, a good point to note is you can only hold an objective... Each model can only count towards holding one objective. So in this instance, Archeon can only hold one objective because he's one model. However, if you put the Screamers on an objective like you're seeing here, where there's 3 of them, each one of the 2, each one that's on the objective. So this one counts for that objective, and this one counts for that objective. So while the unit is holding 2, the models themselves can count towards different units, towards different objectives, and that's super cool. That's very fun.
It's all about the models in this, isn't it? It doesn't really matter about the units. It's all about those models.
Yeah.
Which is why abilities that like pick out models is really good, because you can take them off an objective and say, right, that one, now your unit isn't holding that.
Jassimo says, just quick question in the chat, I just thought I'd help out. Short list building question. Can I use a Demon Prince in a Blades of Khorne army and have him as a general? 100%. As long as you give him the Khorne keyword, then you're absolutely good. You can put anything in the Khorne army as long as you can give it the Khorne keyword from the Slaves to Darkness book. So you can do that. So 100%. Hope that helps. Yeah, that's why Mega Gargants can't hold 2 objectives. That's true. And because they're trash.
What else?
Sorry.
Are we going into that?
Objective coverage here. Objective coverage. Let's go.
If you want to talk about Sons of Behemoth, they beat Matt Mallow yesterday, game 1 in Focal Point, which was sad. Sad times. I was disappointed for him because apparently that's the only mission that Sons of Behemoth that are actually good at.
They're really good at Focal Points.
They see Focal Points and they're like, oh yeah, let's go.
Right, so look at this defensive play here. So the Pink Horrors dropping back, making sure they're out of range. Kairos, pretty key point. He's been dropped at the back of the board. Those Screamers have been dropped here. So we're looking. See, it's such a fascinating build, the Archeon build, because it all is reliant on those overlapping buffs you can give him. He's so tough. He's so strong at this point. But he needs all of those support characters. And you've got to be very, very conscious of these Sentinels. These 20 Sentinels, have absolutely got the ability to just wipe a support character out. That's what they're there for. Yeah. And don't forget, we've got a cheeky speed of Heesh as well. So double the movement of that unit. So he's got to be conscious that they can go twice as fast and then shoot. 36-inch range on these Sentinels. Yeah. They ignore line of sight. There's a shot each. And any 6s to hit do a mortal wound. If they sunbless their weapons, any 5s to hit do a mortal wound. So it's very, very likely that they can just ping off a character very early. They're very good.
Yeah, so you can see Stephen measuring the range of those sentinels there and looking at that Chaos Sorcerer Lord and going, probably not going to put him in range of those.
No.
Probably just going to leave him out there because those sentinels, Matt has backboarded them quite a lot. So his threat range, even though it is a lot, he's reduced it himself by keeping them quite far back. So Stephen has got a lot of play here with how he can move because of how Matt has deployed.
He's got the board to move into. And Matt has had to be very, very defensive. I'll be very excited to see what those Sharks do. I feel like the Sharks, so the Alapexes might go off and just act independently. They might move across the board and do what they want. They're so good. They're basically monsters. 8 wounds with a 4-up save. They've got 4 jaw attacks that do damage 2. They're very, very good. Like, they've got a 4-up save. Then they've got the anti-piling net launcher. Huge fan.
Yeah, they are really, really good. They got a real increase in that Marathi book because they were originally 12-inch move and now they've gone up to 14-inch move. So they are super speedy. The nets obviously got better. They got more damage. So even though those nets on a 3, they do the hit, no piling, they still do 3 damage. So if they do wound, they have a 3. It's a 3 damage shot still.
It's crazy. It's so good. It's so good. I think we're at the end of the Tzeentch's first turn. I think that's what the board looks like there, Adam. Like it's looking very.
So 7 points going into that Lumineth turn, and you can see that Tzeentch have just put down the priority objective for the Lumineth, and it's the one at the bottom here with the 3 screamers on it. So it looks like it's probably the hardest one. I don't think Matt is never going to be able to take this objective over here this time. He's just not going to have the movement to do it. So Stephen knows by putting it there, it is going to be safe.
Yeah, and I think also he's looking to both armies looking to drag each other apart. They both want to drag each other apart, and also very much like we saw yesterday with Blade's Edge, like just a big early score, really setting the timer, ticking that timer down. He's like started the clock. He's like, boom, I'm up 7. It's your turn. You've got to come and get involved in this fight now. Like, so he has to go and grab those objectives. He might not necessarily be able to like score big late game. So
this is the downside of that. Those big blocks that we were talking about, wasn't it? So normally with MSE, you've got all those units to be able to run around and take the objectives. And 6 objectives on a mission is a lot of objective to try and take. So when you've only got, I think, 8 units in your whole army, to try and consolidate 6 objectives is just a really tricky thing to do.
Yeah, I agree. Like, and also shows why Stephen has also done so well here, because it's very fragile. You have to be very considered what you're going to do. Other than Archeon, like if anyone's ever played with large models like Nagash or Archeon, you can just make the wrong decision. So Teclis has decided, he's chosen to cast 4 spells that we're going to see here. 4 spells he's decided to cast.
One of those can be auto-unbound as well, this turn, as well.
Yes, it can be. Is the command trait... No, is that from the... No, that's not from the artifact, is it? No, that's just
the Host Arcanum Allegiance abilities. So turn 1, 3, and 5, you can auto-unbind 1 spell.
Yeah. So the question in the chat is from Brad Pitbull, can those Wardens and Sentinels slice up Archeon? Let's just talk about Archeon's buffs again. It's -1 to hit in combat because he's a Tzeentch demon. You reroll 6s against him because he's got the Eye of Ed Sheeran. Then he's got a 4-up, like Mortal Wound Ignore, and currently he has a 3-up rerollable save. So he's... Oh, okay. So it's actually the reroll saves is actually from Shield of Fate, not Oracular Vision. Thanks, Table Boss. And there's another... Oh, okay. Nice. And the Oracular Visions is actually on one of the key pieces here, and that would be this Chaos Sorcerer Lord. He's done it to himself, who's in cover. He's like...
He's just sat there going, nah, lads.
No, I'm not. I've seen elves shoot before. I'm not having this. I'm standing in trees, and I'm magicking myself. I'm going to be safe.
He's really loving his life. 3+ rerollable save. Let's go, boys.
Yeah, so he's chosen to cast 4. Yeah, he's got the auto-unbind. Archeon in range, right, with the auto-unbind.
Yeah, which wouldn't surprise me. He's probably just going to throw that on protection. He's going to, because obviously Teclis has got a lot. He's got a massive toolbox of spells. His main ones are going to be like Protection of Teclis and the Total Eclipse. So making your opponent use 2 command points for anytime they want to use command point. So those are probably the two big ones. There's also the bravery bomb spells that Teclis has got, and he's got a lot of toolbox to use. But I think the biggest one to try and unbind is probably that protection of Teclis.
Yeah, I would agree.
Or even the spell portal.
Yeah,
so then he
for
can't be throwing
Technado?
any. Yeah, no. Then he can't throw anything into Steven's army because nothing else is going to be in range. So do you go for that? Do you unbind the offensive output, or do you unbind his defensive stuff?
That's a great question. And I think Matt now in the decision-making phase, which we're all about, which is going to be something we're all going to have to face when playing Lumineth in the future. Like the smoke break and or cup of tea break, I think is one of
yeah. Because obviously with Lumineth, the order that you cast things is actually really, really important. Like, it is super important, and it does take a while. So like we will see Lumineth players going, right, I need to cast this one here, this one here, this one here, this one here. And honestly, if they mess up that timing by 1 or 2 spells, it can ruin the whole hero phase. Especially when you've got the Haitian Twin Stones in your list. So that end of spell it's a counter. So it starts out, you cast it starts on 1, and then you cast a spell and it goes up to 2. A unit that's in range of its ability can draw its power on that and get plus whatever that dice roll is to their cast. So potentially get +2 to cast. And then it goes back to 1. But because a spell's just been cast, it goes back up to 2. So essentially, once 1 spell has been cast off of it, it always stays on +2 to cast for everything.
Yeah, agreed. There's lots of decision making to put into this list right now. He's definitely within. I'm sure he's within 30 for the unbind. I'm just going to give it a cheeky measure for the lads. He's within range for the unbind. Now, of course, he could just draw out the auto unbind for protection. So his first spell is Twin Stones. And don't forget, Archeon also is just a wizard, can attempt to unbind some spells as well.
He can unbind 2, can't he?
Yeah, Destiny dice check for everyone. He's only got some 5s and 4s, and it was attempted to be cast on a 10. So he's casting 4 on a 10. So he hasn't got any automatic Destiny dice unbinds either. So he's just going to have the 1 unbind. So yeah. If Protection Teclis is unbound, can he cast the 9-inch version from the Lore of Heesh? Yes, he can. Yeah, he can, because they're different, right? Aren't they?
Yes, they're 2 different spells. So you can essentially have both up at the same time. So if you need Teclis off in one place, you can have the other one off the other place. But obviously in this list, he doesn't have it on 2 different units. So Teclis knows every spell in the book. So yeah, if he does fail his protection or it gets unbound, he can go, right, well, I'll try and go for the shorter range one. And at least he's got something up.
Yeah, because Protection Teclis on his War Scroll, and I don't know if it's the same spell found inside the Battletome book, because if it's got the same name, you can't cast it. But if it does,
I'm pretty sure it's got a different. I'm sure it's got a different name. I will check that while we talk about the rest of it. I'll have a look.
It's okay. We could check it and rewrite it, and then Matt still would have not made a choice.
Exactly.
At this point.
Let's have a look, shall we? I'm curious now. It's got me. I'm like, oh. I wonder.
Okay, so it says on the spell. Thank you, Stephen. Appreciate you. Protection Teclis casting value. This cannot be cast in the same hero phase as Protection of Heesh. So you can't cast both.
So you can't do both. Okay.
Yeah.
That's it. Well, they've actually thought about it. Games Workshop thought about a rule. Terrifies me.
At least it's on the War Scroll, so that's positive. That's good. So the Cathalar has now cast. So we've now seen the Cathalar cast the Umbral Spell Portal. Umbral Spell Portal has been cast from the Cathalar, and who's hidden as close as you can.
And it looks like he's putting it next to those Wardens there, and those Wardens have Lambent Light. Mm-hmm. So Lambent Light, you cast it on an enemy, and any time you shoot something into that unit, you get reroll hits. So it looks like he's throwing it by the Wardens, so the Wardens can cast Lambent Light through that, and probably, if he goes for Archeon, I'm not sure that's worth it, because again, with Archeon, you're going to be re-rolling. There's going to be so many re-rolls if you go for Archeon, and I don't think any of your shooting is really going to affect him. So I think it's worth doing it on like maybe the Screamers or something.
Oh, no, see, he is measuring to the Screamers. It does seem just, so 18 inches for Lambent Light. So it looks like he's not quite in there. So you're going to have to do some repositioning. And like we talked about, I think that this is the play, like strategy-wise. take out those key small units that score in objectives, make it so that Tzeentch struggle a lot more. Like, and also if Tzeentch get the turn, just give them the turn and let all the buffs fall off Archeon. Like, just let them fall off. And then but he's going to be down on points. That's the problem with that strategy. He's going to be down points really early. He's already down 7. He's going to have to move on to some objectives.
I think that was the issue with Matt's deployment there. I think the deployment I think he was so afraid of the output that the Tzeentch could do. He's deployed so far back that he's now let Tzeentch take those objectives, and he's going to really struggle to get through.
Yeah. So Teclis has chosen to cast Lambent Light now. It's cast on a 10. So that's been cast, and I don't know if we're going to see that unbound. I feel like unbinding that would be a mistake, because ultimately all you're doing, like, you're just going to reroll hits for shooting into the Screamers, and like, that's fine, whatever.
Yeah,
they're probably going to die anyway.
He knew they were going to die. Like, he put them there probably knowing that they were going to die, but it doesn't really matter. They've done their job. They've taken those 3 points, and like we said, 3 points for 3 Screamers. That's
So Archeon has used his Host Arcanum Unbind, his auto Unbind, to stop Lambent Light.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's what we've seen taken. So that's. So Teclis is now cast Protection of Teclis, so he's got that 5-up DPR round. Really weird he didn't decide to stop that.
Yeah, I'm a little bit confused about that one, but there's got to be a plan, right? There's going to be a plan there. Stephen knows what he's doing. He probably knows better than me and you what he's doing. So, I think maybe those Screamers are more important than we're thinking. I think maybe he's thinking he needs all those units he can get.
So, look, we're already up to 12 summoning points, though, for Tzeentch. With 12, we're already into 12. Like,
that is crazy numbers already.
Yeah, he only needs 8 more, and he's got 10 pink horrors. Which is 50 wounds to pot and objectives at the back of the board. Now, the Wardens, both units, can probably go through a unit of pink horrors in a turn. I have no doubt of that. I think that's pretty competent. But, I still think that, having another 20 pink horrors on objectives is going to be fun. Because, like we said, there's a ticking clock in this game, and that's those objective points. And he's going to have to be at least marginally aggressive. And if he can't charge into Archeon now this turn, he's going to have to move into the midfield and... wait a turn? Who knows? It's what would you do, Adam? Would you move up and try and engage Archeon and go for the double? I feel like that's not the play here. It's Archeon has done, and Stephen have put Matt in a really good bind, some really tough decisions.
It's a really odd one. I think mainly because of the way that Matt's deployed. It's allowed Tzeentch to just take all the objectives. So Matt has to move forward, and where Steve has put Archeon, he's just gone, if you move forward, if I win the turn, I'm going to be in your face.
Yeah, but you can't move into the midfield enough. You can't move into the midfield enough unless those Wardens go in and they just go for it. But also Matt's in a tough spot as well, because Matt's got no summoning. So if he loses one block of those Wardens, let's say he loses a 20, his ability to control those objectives is much, much lower. He's got 5 scoring units. He's got the 30 Wardens, the 20 Wardens, the Sentinels, the Sharks, and Teclis.
Yeah.
There we go. So Teclis' final spell, is Speed of Heesh. So we're going to see the big brick of Wardens. Are we?
Yeah, I think he literally has to put it on those Wardens to actually reach the objectives. Because if he doesn't use it, it doesn't look like he's within 6 of any of the objectives. So if he didn't do it, then he's only going to be able to score 1, maybe 2 objectives this turn.
Yeah, of course.
So he has to put it on those Wardens, literally just to move them, which is, again, going back to that deployment of what... He's deployed so far back because he was afraid, but he's kind of made his own turn 1 really difficult to play.
Yeah, but then he also had to, because like we saw from the start of the game, Archeon's got the ability, of course, to move so fast. He's got that D3 pre-game move. He's got the Destiny dice, if he rolls well. But even then, he's got a guaranteed 10-inch charge, which is pretty crazy, to go across the board. So, there's a missile in Archeon that, it's a nuke more than a missile. There's a full bomb, that's always ready to prime. So you almost have to set up in some sort of defensive fashion.
Yeah, it's really difficult for Matt. It's just been put in a difficult position. So obviously, it's a lot more of a big deal for Matt to lose something.
Okay, so the unit of Wardens that we've seen at the bottom, they also have cast Ethereal on themselves, so they now have a 4-up spell that ignores Rend, which is
Yeah,
what they're
so
doing.
it also ignores pluses. So they can't use Aether Quartz on themselves either.
Yeah,
So it's an
yeah,
actual ethereal. So that's with that spell. It's like it is a plus and minus thing because it's like cool. I get you can't rend me, but oh, I can't use any Aether Quartz.
mm,
So it's only really worth it if someone's got -2 rend, which
yeah,
Archeon does have.
yeah, in plenty. It also means that you get to save it for later. Like so, or you could use your plus. You could use your plus to hit. You could use your Aether Quartz for plus to hit as opposed to defensive buffs. So that works out quite nicely as well. Yeah, so we've seen those Wardens. I mean, this is a very like I gotta say I do love the Lumineth models and the aesthetic. It's got a very like old world fantasy vibe to it. There's like two lots of like there's just a line of two like tens of phalanx against a terrifying monster. Just like get back, lad, get back. I'm not having none
Yeah,
of this. Yeah,
these are
like
going to look amazing in real life, right? Like
yeah.
once we see those lines moving forward, it is just going to look awesome.
Apart from they'll be moving backwards because the spears will
Yeah,
break.
because those spears will not be able to like even rank up.
Yeah.
Ranking old spears up was always a pain. I can't imagine it with these ones.
Okay, so just table boss again. So we've just heard from the table boss that the wardens of the bomb have decided not to break Shining Company. Oh, they have broken. They
I
have
assume
broken
that's so
Shining
he can
Company.
either charge or he can run. I'm gonna go. He's gonna charge into those screamers. That's what I reckon,
No,
and then try and.
apparently we've heard from our table boss. Matt is going for the double. He's just going all in.
Yeah,
Uh,
so if he goes to that double, but I'm thinking this turn what he can do is put those 30 wardens on that objective, charge into those screamers, and then string round to take the objective in that middle. So then he can score himself 4 points this turn, and then
yeah.
go for that double, and then go for the next lot of objectives. So I assume that's what I'm thinking his plan for the double is: clear those screamers, take objectives, and then clear even more with that block of 30.
Yeah, 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 it's true. Like I am very, very excited to see what actually does happen here. It's going to take a small minute to get in, but the action I promise you will heat up as we're going through. Twitch chat, are you going to let me know who you want to win? That's the kind of big question in here. Adam, I don't know if I even asked you. Who are you rooting for?
I mean, I really don't like Teclis because he annoys me, and I'm a Deepkin player, and I've got some daddy issues because of him.
That's true.
But I also don't like Destiny dice. But Stephen has rolled really bad on Destiny dice, so I'm kind of rooting for him now because I kind of feel bad that he's not got them. So I'm going with Archeon. That's what I'm thinking. I'm going for the Archeon because I want to see Teclis in the sword.
Yeah, of course you do. Of course you do. I mean, everyone wants to put Teclis in the sword. I think they want everyone in the sword. I think it would be very cute to see the final where we see another Teclis, a little baby Teclis, on the base of Archeon. Because if you guys didn't join us earlier, Stephen in this tournament has already put 2 other Archeons, the Pretenders, in his sword, and now he's got them modelled on his base there, which is a very rare thing to do. But it gives me some cool ideas for some 3D printing you could potentially do. So what's everyone in the chat saying? Planchette wants Elves, Stephen wants Zinch, Brad Pitt Lord wants Archeon, Colonel Cabbage, I'm rooting for the Great Bray Shaman, only him, no one else. That's fair. Chris Seeby wants Zinch, Lord Win, hello, but fuck Teclis. I want to see little Teclis on that Archeon base. I think we all do. Even if Teclis ends up winning, I think we all want to see little Teclis on the base. I think that would be work. The Great Bray Shaman, I'll just give you an update on the way. I'll do a goat watch. This is what we'll do. Every 10 minutes or so, or not 10 minutes, that's too often. Every 30 minutes or so, we'll do goat watch. And currently,
Every 5
goat
minutes.
watch
Let's go.
every 5 minutes. Goat
Every
watch.
30 seconds.
He's alive. The Bray Shaman is alive, and there he is, safe as houses. So don't worry.
Now going
Goat
to be a
watch.
Beast of Chaos stat if the Zinch win, and we're going to be throwing Beast of Chaos not only into A tier, they're going to S tier.
They're
Shooting
going in.
for it, boys.
Because really, would Zinch be anything without the goat? That's the real point.
It's true. I mean, all the way through Zinch's career as a book, they've always relied on Beast of Chaos.
That's
First
true.
it was Enlightened.
Skyfires.
First it was Skyfires. Then we saw Enlightened. Then we saw Zangor, and now we're seeing Bray Shamans.
That's actually true.
So
The
they've
powerhouse
always relied on Beast of Chaos.
Yeah, they're the working class of the Tzeentch faction. Is the goats? Bless them. They're always working super. Yeah, votes for the goats. That's what it's. Yeah, we like the goat. We agree.
Tzeentch are nothing without them.
That's true. And also look at Sinesh. Everyone in Sinesh right now is like, let's get the workhorses out. Let's go back to the goats. Let's get them in the lists.
They brought out Slangor and went, oh,
no,
maybe we'll go back to those goats.
Not those goats. They go to the goat book. Yeah.
So they're being very selective about the goats they choose. Okay.
Right, so yeah, Matt being very cautious about moving up his wardens here. He's got to be very careful, make sure he moves them exactly right. Any
just throw them
misplays,
forward, easy.
yeah, any misplays, and it's going to be a major issue here. As you can see, he's still got the sharks to move, so the alapexes, and then he's.
What
also
would you be doing with those sharks? Because I genuinely like, because their piling ability is a bit rubbish on Archeon because it doesn't really matter.
Yep.
So potentially, do you just use them in this game to block movement and just stop Archeon from moving into places? I just don't see them doing a lot in this game.
I think if you just turn one, just like sling them, like if you just run them along the bottom of the board, yeah, and then those can be your mobile, because they can comfortably deal with the screamers, and then you can just leave out, so you can leave everything else in the middle to deal with Archeon, and they're perfect. They'll be a great little flanking unit. They'll eventually end up like dominating that bottom left-hand corner of the board. They're fine, and then they can slowly move up and roll the flank as well. That's probably what I do with them. I just get them straight out there. I agree with you. I don't think the net launcher is particularly useful against Archeon, because all of his weapons are like pretty close range anyway. So I don't think that's going to be useful enough. So yeah, I'd throw them down the left, and then just look to be scoring those points as time goes on. I think that would be pretty key.
Sort of play for the long game with them.
Yeah, I think so. I think ultimately, like, because everything else is a bit meh, like, and it doesn't really matter. And then just because you're not sending those wardens down in the bottom corner anytime soon. They're moving into the middle. They've got to fight Archeon. They're all there. That's what they're doing. You're not sending the archers either. So you're not. So I would say that's what their main job should be. Because how else is he getting over to that bottom left-hand objective?
Yeah, he's not got any other movement really, except for in Teclis. Because Teclis is fast, but you want Teclis in the middle as your castle.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, he has to be there. So just send these sharks away. They're fast and mobile. That's exactly why they're in the list. So they should go do that. And then we have seen the Cathalar move up. I got to say, probably one of the scariest models in Age of Sigmar.
Well, she's going to be quite funny because of her command trait.
Yeah.
So her command trait, when she is within 6 of something, I think it's a once a game ability, but you basically have to target her if you're within 6 of her. So what you can do is you can almost put a ring of guys around her so that your opponent can't physically target her, but because they're within 6 of her, they have to. So it's a bit like that Cloud of Midnight thing. So you can stop someone from hitting at all. So you could potentially do that to Archeon. Yeah,
of course. Oh, thank you to Coda Paints for raiding the channel with 23 viewers. Thank you for joining us. If you guys are interested, we're covering a TTS match. This is round 4 of the Battle for Copenhagen, a 5-round Age of Sigmar 2,000 point event. This is round 4, and we're seeing Tzeentch versus Lumineth Realm Lords. If you type !! lists, you can see the lists, and if you type ! event, you can see the event. It's me and Adam Mumford, and our table boss is Matt, and we're in round 1 for we're in turn 1 for Lumineth Realm Lords. One of these 2 players is going to go on to play in round 5 in a few hours' time, which we'll also be covering with someone potentially being a winner. The 2 players that we have are Matt Goddesborough, playing with his Lumineth Realm Lords, and he previously has done very well in TTS tournaments. Unfortunately, we saw him lose at a top 8 pick in a tournament a few weeks ago. We've also got Stephen Follows, a really competent player with his Tzeentch Archeon list that you guys can see, and you'll be able to and he's also very, very good. We've got a lot of there's a lot of rules interactions that can occur in this match. It's very
there
fun.
are so many counter plays, loads of stuff that I'm going to stop you from doing this. Well, I'm going to stop you from doing this. And there's lots of almost counter synergies from both armies. It's super interesting to watch both of them sort of throw into each other.
Yeah, it's gonna be wild. It's gonna be super wild. Look, right now we've got Archeon. He's 800 points of raw anger. He's got reroll 6s to hit him when you try and target him. He's got reroll saves on him anyway. He ignores spells effects on a 4 and mortal wounds on a 4. You have Lumineth with mortal wounds coming out of their spears and loads of attacks, and a really sad lady that does really cool stuff. She can make battle shock tests be taken on other units, and she can make it so that the Lord of the Everchosen, the god of not the god of chaos, but the chosen of all the chaos gods, tries to target her. That's right. She's so arrogant that she would look at.
She's just like, nah, mate, go on, fight me. Oh, but you can't, because I've created a ring around me, so you cannot do anything. Which You've seen those Alapexes, they've moved there, like they've done the opposite of what you said, but they've created that bubble around her. So if Archeon tries to hit those 30 wardens, or if he goes into that side of them, he literally can't attack. So Archeon is forced to either go all the way to the top right or all the way down to the bottom just to fight.
It's true. It's true. Although that wouldn't be probably my target anyway. I'd just take Archeon and just punk the unit at the top. I'd be cool with that.
Teclis in the sword.
Yeah. I wouldn't put Teclis in the sword.
That's all I'm here for.
Yeah. AOS does have no wrath like a woman scorn. That's true. Lady Alinda, Marathi. There's some dominant women actually in Age of Sigmar.
Really are. Alariel. Oh wait.
No, not Alariel.
Oh.
We won't talk about that. But one day, I think she'll be better. But there's also Kairos. So in the top left-hand corner, we've got Kairos. So the Chosen of Tzeentch has got some really cool abilities as well. But currently at the back of the board, keeping himself safe, protecting himself from this devastating unit of archers. 36-inch range on these Lumineth archers. They ignore line of sight and they do mortals on 6s. But right now they've been buffed up, so it's actually mortals on 5s. This big brick of 30 wardens. Right, so we are seeing exactly what we thought. I know, Adam, this bowman. Let's just take a moment to appreciate these bowmen. Trying to look at these bowmen here. They're looking at those screamers, and they're like, "Okay, I'm going to shoot them." There's a building
in the way, but I can still see. It's fine.
I can still see.
Yeah, I don't care about this line of sight blocking terrain. Whatever.
Lumineth, what do your elf eyes see? Everything.
Literally all the things. And they've just shot into those screamers, not being able to see them, and gone, yeah, we've hit so many times that we killed 2, and what?
So they did 7 mortal wounds, but they've left them with 1 on, and that is the end of the turn. That's the board as we go into priority. It's 7-3. Oh
wow!
Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a result. Tzeentch have won the priority roll. That's huge. Now, there's a load of things to unpack here. And that's that they're going to lose a load of buffs coming in from some of these characters at the back, going into Archeon. So is he going to take the turn? That's the real question. If he takes the turn, he loses the buffs. That's really important. Protection of Heesh is up. That's the thing there. Baby.
I think he's taking that turn all day, every day. Because even without those buffs, Archeon can still nuke 30 wardens. He can still do it, even without all the buffs. And some of the buffs, I'm sure, are still in range.
Yeah, I wouldn't even do the 30 though. I'd just do because if you just top the objective, right? Because he didn't go aggressive with the sharks, he's still not threatening the back of the board, right? He could just take Archeon, smash at the top. Yeah, that's fine. If he wants to, he can put another unit of screamers in the middle of the board and grab another objective. So he can
because
score.
Matt's only put 2 on that middle objective.
Yeah, he can score really big again if he really wants. So he could absolutely do that. Don't forget, he's got currently 15 fate points. So he's at the end of this magic phase, we could potentially see another unit of pink horrors come out. And he doesn't even need to use pink horrors. Yeah, he's going all in. I thought he would go further up, personally.
I think you just do a lot of damage this turn. You just do it. This is the chance to do it. I think this is that one time where you go, you know what, I'm going in. because he's going to get those. He's getting those 5 extra points this turn. He'll get those extra things, and then he can summon from Archeon and potentially summon behind to clip that objective and consolidate it even more. Do a lot of damage in the middle, consolidate that objective, and go. What are you going to do in your turn now?
It's true, because all he's actually needs to do is make it so that Matt can't take the back objectives. That's it, because he's already got like a massive point swing. He's more than likely going to take that center, although take that center objective. Oh, will he? It depends. If he flies the Screamers over, then yes. And then he could summon at the back. So he can score massive again this turn. He can score his 3 back objectives and 2 more objectives. So he can score 5, which would put him 12-3 in the ascendancy and be in a really good spot.
Massive point swing.
Yeah, and then Matt can't just run away from the objectives he's on. Like, that's not what's the situation. He has to still deal with Archeon and make sure he dies in the next turn. Yeah.
Apparently we're seeing 3 Archeons now. On the board. He's just, those small Archeons have spawned and they've just gone, yes, let's go, boys.
Yeah, so
that summoning is going to be a big point here, isn't it? Because that summoning, he's just going to be able to go, right, I'm just going to create more units. I've already got a lot of units, and now I'm just going to be able, that's simply actually, so I'm just going to sit there and go, right, there's another unit there for you to deal with. Now there's another unit there for you to deal with. And Matt's literally just going to be kept getting blocked into his own deployment.
Yeah, I think it's going to be, yeah, so he's just looking to see where he can move and where he can get to. Yeah, so there's Cathalar there. So like Adam was talking about previously, that goading arrogance, a 6-inch stick, making sure that like Archeon doesn't get in range, seeing where he can move to, and see whether or not he can then get in range to pile in and attack Teclis, I think is kind of the key focus here. Seeing if he can get over. Okay, so because goading arrogance is affected at the start of the combat phase, he could still pile in a reach Teclis, but he still would be affected by it. I still don't think that's the right decision either. Just take the units out. That's all he's got to do. Just smash through the units, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really weird one, isn't it? Like, but I think, yeah, you just, Archon, just launch him in. Just launch him in, kill some stuff, win. Easy. Easy money. Boom, smashed it.
No props.
Just thinking, like, so what... I'm just thinking, like, what buffs he's actually going to be able to get to him. Because Archeon he's got the spell, hasn't he? He's got Infusion Arcanum, so he can give himself +1 to hit and wound. And then, so he's already got that. And does he need any of the other buffs? He can probably spell portal one of the buffs to him. So I mean, that extra...
He's still got a cheeky Darkfire Demon Rift.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
But
so
then,
Archeon can just launch that potentially, couldn't he?
He can launch that, but then also Teclis is gonna Teclis can unbind it. Teclis also can, if he wants to. There's spell ignore.
He's got the auto unbind, isn't he?
Yeah, he's got. There's so much going on here.
I've never seen a hero phase as involved as this.
Yeah. Well, see, what's interesting is it's like it's none of it's dice rolling. You just you're like, I could do this, but you can ignore it. So should I? And then you're just going through like there's so much in a decision tree of what you're deciding to do here between both players. I mean, the key part that Teclis can't ignore is just a giant monster dragon being slammed into his face.
Yeah,
I think that's really important.
Teclis the sword.
Yeah.
Every day, let's go for it.
So I think one of the other. So, it's taken a while we didn't know. Zeech is taking the turn. So there was some decision making there. Yeah.
Oh, is that what we've just found out? Oh, okay. I would have never guessed that by the fact that we have been moving Archeon for the last 5 minutes.
Well, he was just seeing where he can get to, I think, what the optimum choices are. We're probably going to see Kairos do Spell Portal, and then we've still got Devolve. We still have Devolve available to drag a unit out, which I think is going to be really important. So that's the spell. Quick opportunity for Goat Watch. Still there, baby.
Oh, here comes Goat Watch. Is he alive?
He's alive.
How is he doing?
He's doing really well. He's really well.
The crutch of the Zinch is the Beast of Chaos book.
Yeah.
The reason Beast of Chaos don't do so well is because all their goats are actually being taken over to Zinch, and what's left isn't quite as good because Zinch is like, no, you're with us now, boys.
Yeah.
Sorry,
votes goats, chat. Votes goats. That's all we want. Yeah, I know Devolve won't be in range unless he gets Portal. That's what I was saying. You could use the Portal and then get Devolve. That's what I was thinking. He could drag some of these armies out. He could bring that unit out of cohesion with the goading arrogance that we're seeing there.
I don't think you do it on those wardens, because then you give Matt the chance to put more models on that objective.
That's true. It's a good point.
So because Matt will be the one to move them. The only restriction is he has to move them towards the closest, as long as they finish closer. So what Matt can actually do is actually use that spell to his advantage. So I'm not sure you put that on the 30 wardens.
That's a good idea. And a good point, well made. Yeah, maybe you could drag the sharks out, but I'm not sure that would be within 36. So yeah. So we've seen Shield of Fate cast on Archeon. So that's going to give him those reroll saves.
He's winding up.
And also the 4+ spell ignore. That's going to be important. And spell portal, here we go. Are we going to see flat 6 mortal wounds come out of Kairos? Is that what we're going to see?
You could. I wonder if he'll just use it to almost help buff Archeon more. So like use it on Archeon, essentially.
Just to buff him. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
because I don't know what Kairos, because Kairos is quite far back there, so I'm not sure what he would be in range of.
Yeah, so you're right. So Kairos has cast Demonic Power, so that is the Chaos Sorcerer Lord spell onto Archeon. Rerolls to hit and rerolls to wound. And because he's out of range of Teclis, that's such a nice mid play. The defensive play there from Matt, meaning that he's not in range to unbind from the spell portal, and that's so important.
Yeah. Because they're both playing quite far back together, aren't they?
Yeah.
So they're both sort of going, right, I'm going to stay back, but it's almost a bonus to both of them. So I think, whereas Stephen can be aggressive with Archeon, but keep the rest of his army back, but because Archeon's there, Matt had to keep his army back.
Yeah, because he's just got so much. The guaranteed charge also allows you to make so many decisions on the movement phase. So you move into a certain place, but okay, and then you measure it like we saw the multiple Archeons coming out a minute ago. Okay, I've got a 10-inch charge in the pocket, or whatever I've got in my Destiny dice. So where exactly can I put myself so that I roll into the right place? It's so vital.
Yeah.
He
could even just go, I can just use a 7, because he's got loads of 2s. He needs to use up those 2s.
He does. A 4-inch charge out of those would be fine.
Let's do it. There we go. I'm just going to use it. I don't care anymore.
Right, so yeah, here we go. I'm not sure. Oh, also, that's taking us up to 18 fate points if we're keeping track. He only needs to cast 2 more spells. Pink Horrors have got a base spell.
I think, do you go with the 20? Do you go for 10 Pink Horrors, or do you go 20 blues and have 2 units of 10 and have more board presence?
Yeah, that's true. That's probably a better call. We just heard, so Archeon tried to cast a spell that was unbound. He then attempted Demon Rift. Darkfire Demon Rift attempted. That's what Teclis chose to unbind. Teclis was like, nope, you're not having that spell.
Yeah, because if he fails those 4+ ignores, that was going to be brutal. That would have been absolutely devastating to his army.
Yeah, it's gonna be really rough, super rough. So he's in a really tough spot here.
Which is why we need to see Teclis in the sword.
Yeah. Has Stephen picked a Tzeentch agenda? We'll find out from our table boss in a moment. Yes, so his agenda is to take an objective from a unit with 10 or more models.
And that makes you count as an extra model for objectives, extra model, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be making, if he puts it on Archeon, Archeon's going to be counting as 2 models. But I'm not sure who that's gone on. But I assume it's gone on Archeon because he's probably the only one eligible for it.
Yeah, it's gone. Yeah. So last turn it was the 9-inch charge, and he obviously wasn't able to achieve that. So he has decided to go for taking the objectives off units. Going to be some intense measuring now. I wonder if we're going to see any other units follow up. Adam, I think we're just going to see 1 summon. I'm not sure if the end of the magic phase now, if we've got no more spells to cast. We'll just double check from our table boss, because I'd be doing anything if I was honest with you, Adam, just to get that another 10 points. Because if I could put 10 pink horrors and that top objective, or even the bottom objective, if I could put 10 pink horrors down. Yeah,
so those summons happen at the end of the movement phase, right? So they're not sure they should be coming down now. But they might just be measuring to see what he can do.
Yeah,
So it
they're
is end
measuring.
of move.
Yeah.
So he's just checking it. But I'd be tempted to put those blue. So move Archeon and then summon them at the back of the objective that he's currently on, potentially. So you literally just like consolidate that. But then I suppose this is probably the right call because I forgot that is the priority objective down there. So
It is.
yeah, he literally
Worth more
takes that
points.
with 10 blues and just goes, yeah, cool. These are mine now.
Well,
And I
also
get
some
3
good point by Mr. John Stark in the chat. So because the agenda doesn't require a unit to pick when you choose the agenda, if he takes that objective with those blue horrors will then count as 2, so they'll count as 20.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, that's crazy. And then every time they die, he's going to be getting brimstone. So obviously that's still what 20 wounds in that unit.
Yeah.
So he's got 20 wounds there, and he's going to be getting.
That's why I'd be looking everything I can for like 2 extra summoning points because I want that to be 10 big horrors that count as 2.
Well, they might not be able to fit on that objective because they're 32 mils, right? So they're 32 mil bases.
Well,
so if he throws them on.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Let's count how many of these we've got on the objective. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 10 of the Lumineth on that objective, so he's safe. Oh, he could just fly that screamer.
Yeah,
over.
I think he's just going to throw that screamer onto it, isn't it?
Just
so yeah, I think
11th.
he has to. He has to go for those blues to take it. I think the pinks wouldn't quite fit in that gap.
Yeah, that makes sense. And also just means he's got another unit in the back pocket for another summon later on in the game. Stephen playing an amazing game of Warhammer here. Like, really
yeah, he's doing
good.
really, really well.
Really, really well. Some really nice plays. Like, really good. You can see why he's ended up. Stephen. Unfortunately, I don't want you to sour everyone to Stephen right now. But also defeated our man Owen Jackson in this tournament. Put his Archeon in the sword.
Yeah, Owen Jackson is still here though. His Archeon has made it to the table in the form of mini Archeon on Archeon's base.
Yeah.
Because I think because we saw Stephen play in the last Hammer Time tournament, didn't we? In game 2 against Sven.
Yeah.
So he played a really good game then. It was just the might of the Sharks took over.
They were horrific.
So we know that Stephen is really, really like he knows this list really well. He's been playing this Archeon list quite a lot recently.
Yeah.
So and he's showing that he knows this list like the back of his hand.
See, what's interesting about it? What's interesting about how he's playing? What he's interesting about how he's playing this list and what he's doing with this list. And by the way, absolutely, what I called is the right decision here. Why would you mess with the middle when you can just absolutely consolidate the flank? Which is why the Sharks should have been down in that bottom left-hand corner.
Yeah, right? That's fair.
That's why they should have been down there, right? 100%. You should just absolutely dominate this top because Archeon can just keep rolling into the middle whenever he wants. He's still threatening the middle right now, and the center line for Stephen is so far back that it doesn't matter what he decides to do. Like if Matt can move into the middle again, but he's going to do nothing.
I think that the issue for me there is like that it kind of means that you're letting Matt move more. I think if you just went into the middle, you just stop him, like just literally stop him dead in the track for an extra turn. But like he's moving those screamers, I think, to block the move, to take that objective and still block movement. So it is probably the right call in the end. But I think either or would have been fine if that makes sense. Like it would have been a different sort of play for him, and it's like almost what he prefers to his play style.
Yeah, it's so useful. Like, it's so good. Like, you've got so much play. Because I think the interesting part here is playing with Archeon, like, as in how you use Archeon is important, but it's how you use the rest of the army. Because really what you're using, so we talk about this a lot on the 40k show, but it's relevant here as well. So what we're really doing is he's doing aggressive blocking. So he's just a bully piece, and what he's doing is he's controlling the movement phase of the opponent by being such a power piece that he's projecting power across the board. You can't, deployment was defined by where Archeon was. Movement has been defined by where Archeon is. There's really not much. Marathi's another example. Like, aggressive blocking, so he's just like, I can be anywhere. What are you going to do about it? And that's what you have to play against.
And you have to put a lot into me to deal with it. Like, he has 800 points on his own. He is a lot of an army. And with those buffs, he becomes basically the only point of the army. So to deal with him, you've got to put in a lot of a lot of your output into him to actually deal with him. And by doing that, you're then not looking at the rest of the board.
Yeah.
So he is that piece that you just go, right, I've got to try and deal with you, but to deal with you, I've got to put more than I want to be putting.
Yeah, the whole army,
and it means
this whole army,
else.
this whole army is currently focused only on Archeon, which means those 10 pink horrors can do what they want, those screamers can do what they want, and they're just grabbing the board and doing whatever they want there. Like, so
you got to remember, Kairos is a really he's a big piece as well, isn't he? So he's got 2 of these massive pieces. Although Kairos isn't like that combat monster, his magic dominance and what he brings to the table is massive, and he's not even used as a once a game ability, is he, to change the dice roll? So Matt is going to want to be dealing with Kairos, has to deal with Archeon, and he hasn't got enough in his army to actually do all of that at once.
Okay, so all great points, and I'm actually loving this game. It's thrilling. I know it's not lots is happening, but it's thrilling from a decision perspective. But quick update on Goat Watch. There he is. He's moved. He's moved away from the forest.
Oh, here we go, boys.
He ran, actually. He hoofed it, is what he did.
Oh,
so he's
really?
gone...
Okay.
I mustn't make jokes like that. That's what I think. So... Right, so end of the movement phase, we have seen those 18 fate points that we saw on the board there. They've been spent to summon that unit of blue horrors. They're going to grab that objective off there. They'll also count as 2. That's the other important point.
So at the end of the turn, they're going to score that agenda that he's picked, count as 2. So that unit of 10 is now going to be counting as 20. And Matt's biggest unit is only 30.
Yeah, and that unit still has to go through... that unit has to go through Archeon still. In the shooting phase, don't forget Blue Horror's got a little shooting attack. Flaming Hands. That's what they've got. Hands of fire. Yeah, sparkly magic. It's literally they throw glitter at people. Is what I always picture every time. I just picture waves of glitter. Right, so they're shooting at the Wardens, and the Aether Quartz has been spent on this unit. So they have now got a 3-up save. So they obviously use this in this phase, and they're saving it to use again. Does it apply for the phase? It does apply for the phase, right?
Literally just for the phase.
So then he's going to use it again in the next turn. He's going to use it again in the next turn to use it on that unit.
Not entirely sure it's going to matter.
He killed 2. He killed 2.
The Blue Horrors! They've done it!
They've done it, boys.
They're in.
I honestly love shooting from horrors. It makes me laugh so much. All I picture is just waves of glitter, and then like the anime cute girl face. They're like, ah! It's just awfulness.
That is not an image I needed today, if I'm honest. I don't know why. But
it makes me smile so much. Right, so the Archeon, obviously, with the big charge, he's in. He's got rerolls to hit, he's got rerolls to wound, and he's got reroll saves. Now, they're going to use an Aether Quartz again on this unit to make it... Oh, if they've got CP, they've got CP.
They don't need the CP, because it will be the first one of this phase.
Yeah. Okay.
So they won't need that CP for that second Aether Quartz, because each phase you can use 1.
So give them... Yeah, so they're using the Aether Quartz now, so that's gonna put them on that 3-up save now. So again...
2-up. So they got 4 plus, they're on a 2+ save.
Or does the last one not end at the end of the phase?
Yeah, I think I don't know if they actually used that, because I think he's actually gone and used 2 now. So he is right. Okay, yeah, so he's on a 3-up save. Sorry, might be. I misheard.
That's okay. Our Table Boss doing an amazing job there. Well done, Table Boss. So 1 Aether Quartz was used in the shooting phase, and 1 has been used in the... Oh no, there's so many. 1 has been used in the combat phase.
I'm not sure it really mattered, did it? But he might as well have used it.
Yeah. He didn't have a CP to do it. By the way, I'd like you guys to know to do it twice, which is why he's elected to do that. I'm sure he would have liked to have done it twice, but no CP available.
Yeah, I think he sort of knew that unit was going to die, and sort of went, right, I might as well use 1 in the shooting phase, even though it's only blue horrors, and I'm just going to use it in the combat phase as well, because I might as well.
Well, so one of the things that is interesting, by setting the Cathalar up with Goading Arrogance, he almost made it so Archeon was never going to make that choice. So instead of maybe Archeon would absolutely smash through all 30 Wardens, but if you put him there, if I can make sense, by not allowing Archeon, by being so defensive, he's almost forced Archeon to make the choice to take out the weaker unit. And if anything, I feel like that's helped Archeon.
I think it's made Stephen's decision easier, isn't it? To go, well, I can't really deal with that, so well, I'll just go for your other unit, and now you've got even less stuff anyway. So either decision was going to work, and he's gone. Matt's basically said, yeah, go for that one. And Stephen's gone, well, okay then, let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go. There's nothing I can do about that.
And Archeon's loving it, because we've just seen him roll 2 6s for his tail attacks. So you've got 12 tail attacks.
12 tail attacks. Yeah, he's lifting.
He didn't need anything more. And he's just gone, yeah, all right, I got this, boys. I'm here. Let's go, lads.
Oh, so the unit is gone. They are gone.
Yeah,
and don't forget, they had protection the tech list up. So they also had a 5-up ignore. That didn't help. So that's 20 wounds Archeon has gone. So he's gone through 20 wounds. Oh, wait. Archeon just collected as many things as he can. So he's been shrunk down and stuck on the base there.
No, Teclis and the sword, boys. Here we go.
He didn't think he would reach Teclis, so that's his consolation at the moment. That's a big board wipe again. Look at this. So we've seen Matt play a couple of times with this Lumineth list, and we also Matt on the same battle plan. Yeah, good point. On the same battle plan as this, Matt plays the Lumineth very defensively. Matt plays them very, very defensively, and it could be because that's just how the army plays, if that makes sense. There's a really good conversation always that I go back to when I think about how armies play. I think about Nathan Prescott and I think about Leo from the South London Legion. They both play Iron Jaws. But they both play them so differently. Nathan plays them
right.
Nathan plays them aggro. And Leo plays them as like a defensive blocking army. And it's fascinating when you talk to both of them, they honestly, neither of them can see the army in another way. You say, and I think that's their play style affecting the army. So it'd be interesting to see if there are like more aggressive ways to play the Lumineth army. But most importantly, Matt, on TTS at least, has been very successful with the Lumineth army. There has been other people playing them, but Matt's done probably he's been one of the better players who's done one of the best.
Yeah,
right?
definitely. I think he's been playing it since literally the book dropped as well. And this army, I think you're going to see it, especially when tournaments come back and more people are playing. You're going to see the people that haven't been using Lumineth a lot losing a lot of their games when they first start using it. But as they get used to it, they are going to realise that potential and realise the procedures within the list, because there is so much that you've got to do in order that it's a high skill cap army. Like, it actually is that high skill cap army. So the more you play it, the more use you're going to get out of it. It's not a book you pick up and play.
Because there's a lot of decision making to make. I saw Stephen and Mostin talking in the chat. A lot of the decision making is automatic, like we've just seen in the start of the hero phase in turn 2. So if you guys have just joined us, we're in turn 2 right now, bottom of turn 2 with Lumineth going now. Teclis has just chosen to cast 4 spells on a 10. Just a quick roundup of turn 1. The Lumineth Realm Lords gave the turn away to the Tzeentch force. The Tzeentch rolled some pretty weak Destiny dice, no 1s and no 6s, so they weren't able to get the pre-game move Archeon of 6 inches over and getting him into a charge. So instead he played a kind of very defensive mid-board game. Where the Screamers are now is where Archeon was, and then managed to cap a bunch of objectives, scoring 7 in the first turn. Lumineth's return was to speed of Heesh up this unit of ethereal wardens, kind of run them up into the middle, but not actually run, but move, and then take his other unit of 20 wardens and move them up, and then basically play this very defensive castle game. We saw the Sentinels at the back shoot off 2 of a unit of Screamers, but not all of the unit of Screamers, which actually Lambert Light was attempted to be cast by Archeon, and the Host Arcanum unbind by Teclis, and Archeon used the it's not once per game, but every first, third, and fifth turn auto unbind that Host Arcanum get. And actually, Adam, how big a deal was it that one Screamer stayed alive on 1 wound because Lambert Light was unbound? Great decision by Stephen.
Yeah. So because of Lambert Light, that Screamer's now just be able to sort of he's going to be able to scoot back as well. So he's going to be able to use that Screamer, even though it's one guy, he's just going to be able to use it and go just zip around and do his sort of thing with it. And he's got more units on the board.
Yeah. He's getting more and more units. He's still sat on 8 fate points. I think he's going to be over the moon that Teclis has decided to cast another 4 spells. There's another 4 fate points going to be in the bank.
Which is going to put him over that threshold for another 10 blue horrors in his next turn.
Yeah.
And if not, with his next turn, he'll even potentially be able to get it up to 20 and get another unit of 10 pinks.
Yeah, which is just so many wounds on the board. So and then Archeon, just to round off the recap, Archeon went into the 20 wardens that were here and he just smote them. So Archeon unwounded, all the other units pretty much intact. There's some fate points there, and Teclis and Illumineth down points and looking to kill the Lord of the Everchosen and also claim the board at the same time. He's asking a lot of those units, and those sharks, Adam, I feel like that they could have been threatening that bottom left-hand objective, which is now the primary objective, had they made some other decisions earlier on in the game.
Yeah, I think where he's put those sharks, because where he's put them, he put them there for the Cathalar's Goading Arrogance ability, so that Archeon basically couldn't hit that centre block, which then forced Archeon to go up and kill 20 wardens, which I'm sure Stephen was happy with as well. But because he's put those sharks there, they're not really going to be affecting much of the board now. And because of where they are, he's managed to put the pink horrors that Stephen's got at the back. He's got more than 2 on each objective. So those sharks can't even just zip across and take that. There's nowhere for the sharks to zip around and just take things. Whereas if he had put them where you said, sort of on that bottom left, he would have been able to zip over, kill those 3 screamers in this turn, and then be able to score that objective and then start threatening and almost like pincer around. So he has his main force and then the sharks bringing up in around.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of decisions that could have been remade. But I think Stephen's played like a brilliant game of Warhammer.
Yeah,
like, really
absolutely,
good.
really good game of Warhammer.
Really
He's
good.
done a lot of things using that those summons with the not hidden agenda, but the Zinch agendas. So those blue horrors, they've been summoned. They took an objective off a unit of 10 or more, and now all those blue horrors are counting as 2 models. So he's actually got 21 models on that top objective there.
So good. Yeah, so good. So much. And also, Goat Watch, he's fine. He's been running around the board to get involved. Kairos unwounded. So many decisions for Matt. Matt has to, at this point, throw all of the wardens into Archeon. He just has to clear that threat off the board. Maybe throw the sharks into the screamers. He then moves into the mid board quite aggressively, and he's safe. There's not really any threats, and then he can start pushing into the rest of the Zinch force. In turns 3, 4, 5. He's still got enough of the game to push back, but he is going to have to score all of the board pretty much turns 3, 4, and 5. Again, like Age of Sigmar, we've seen this as a kind of current theme actually over the tournament, and it is just a current theme in the game anyway, is that getting up on all those objectives super early is so important. And the reason that I talked about it is because obviously this battle plan, everything, you don't really start on any of the objectives. You do, but not quite. So you have to move on to them and grab them. But you can go grab your opponents really easily. And then we also saw that in Force in the Hand yesterday. Not Force in the Hand, sorry, Blade's Edge yesterday. Which they're very, very beneficial to aggressive armies that want to move across the board and can take that board space.
Yeah, so Blade's Edge is a really odd mission because obviously nothing starts on, whereas in Force in the Hand there are 2 objectives that are in complete no man's land. You can take 2 at the start, but there's 2 in the sort of middle that cannot be affected by anyone. So you can, if it's your turn, you can just, if you've got the movement, and you still have to have a fair amount of movement to get to your opponents. But Stephen just launched 3 screamers onto it and went, or he put Archeon in the middle and said, yeah, cool, I've got this one now. Right, bring it on, let's go.
Yeah. So just a quick roundup again of the event. So this is round 4 of a 5-round event. So we've still got another round after this to do later, and that'll be at 1 o'clock our time. So in a few hours' time. The top bracket for this round. So the people that are already 3-0. So there's the Lumineth Realm Lords army that we're seeing here, who look like that they're in a tough spot at the minute, but maybe that we'll see some pullback. 2 Zinch forces, the most popular faction here. No KO. The second most popular faction, none of them have made it through to 3-0. Nurgle, Nurgle have also got a 3-0 right now. They're looking to play into the final. All those Blight Kings asking people, can you defeat this DPS check? And then Khorne as well. Khorne are also in that 3-0 bracket. So looking
That's what
to
we're wanting. We're wanting to see the Archeon defeat the Tzeentch and go into that final game on 4 wins. That's what we're hoping. Or at least that's what I'm hoping anyway. I want to see Khorne doing well.
Goats, not croaks. That's what we're about. Yeah.
All day, every day. All in it for the goats. The A tier Beasts of Chaos. They've made it into all the Tzeentch lists forever. And now we're seeing they are literally the crux of
all
this
lists,
army.
Of all lists. So we've just found out that the unit of Wardens at the bottom, they've been made ethereal again. And Teclis has now cast Total Eclipse, which is meaning that all command points are going to cost, or command abilities cost twice as much to cast.
I don't think Steven's going to be minding that too much, because in the last 2 turns, I don't think he's used a single command point, and he looks like he's stocked up on 4 CPs anyway. So even with that spell, he's still got 2 command points available to him, or command abilities available to him. So I'm not sure that's like too big a deal for him, really. And this army isn't particularly command ability heavy.
No, it's not. It's really... I mean, it's not even... I mean, the spells are also, like, nice, right, in addition. Like a lot of the spells are... I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I'm excited to see these Wardens go in. 30 Wardens. Will we get most of the attacks in? Not sure. Like, if...
What do you think you do with them? Do you think you go into Archeon, or do you think that you go into those Screamers and just take objectives?
I think the Sharks can take care of the Screamers. So just send the Sharks over. Okay, so we've just heard that instead of Total Eclipse, we've seen Mystic Shield has gone on as the Wardens. So they have a 4-up, unrendable save, re-rolling ones on 30 wounds with a 5-up DPR. Like, that is super survivable.
It is super tanky. Super tanky. But Archeon can still deal with them. He's going to be fine. He can go into their next turn, wipe them all out. But what we actually want to see...
I think you've made a decision that you're rooting for Archeon at this point.
What we really want to see is Teclis in the sword.
So we just heard that the Cathalar is burning an Aether Quartz to cast an additional spell. 4 spells coming out of our Teclis, not enough. And look at those faction points racking up for Tzeentch.
I bet Steven just sat there going, oh yeah, he's just rubbing those hands like,
I want all of the points.
I'm not even unbinding, baby.
I imagine we could see Lambent Light cast on... you could potentially even cast them on the Screamers. Cast them on Archeon. What is
Do you potentially throw them on those pink horrors at the back? So you put your Sentinels into those pink horrors to try and start dealing with that 50-winged block that's there.
I think she's going to use her War Scroll spell, right? I think that's what we're going to see.
Yeah, so Cathar's just cast a spell portal, and then if she casts her spell War Scroll spell, that's the bravery check one, isn't it? So every time you try and do anything, spell portal's just been unbound with Destiny dice.
Unbound with Destiny dice. A 5 and a 2, so she didn't roll high.
Finally using those 2s.
So that could have been a Technado that we were about to see. But, I mean, it doesn't even need to be in range. Maybe, but if you put a Technado in the middle of the board, I mean, you could start popping damage all day. But we're not seeing that at all. That is out. So no options there. This has got to be the really hard part for playing with Lumineth as well. Because you've got a lot of decisions to make. And every time your opponent interrupts one of those decisions, you have to go back and be like, and redo the plan. You'll be like, okay, this is my plan. A, B, C, D, E. And someone's like, I'm going to stop C. And you're like, oh, A, B.
I think that is we were talking about those Lumineth being that high skill cap, because you have your list. I think we saw, was it Benjamin Sava? He wrote his army, put it on Twitter, and he literally had a list of how he does it. And if you're not experienced with your army, if your list gets interrupted, you literally have to rethink your whole strategy on the spot, and you have to be quick about it.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's also worth having a conversation about, one of the conversations that we talked about that was being asked earlier in the chat, is there some sort of like dynamic to trying to draw out unbinds? You know, like trying to use a bit of mind games and just go straight in with something like Protection of Teclis and be like, you're going to try to stop this pretty big spell? And you're like, no. And then some of the like more like smaller name things, or like, you know, doing your spell portal later into the turn.
those sorts of things could be
with
really
Lumineth,
important.
there are a lot of little spells that you won't think a lot about. So like they've got the Fisher spell or whatever it's called, the one from the Stone Guard people. But basically that spell it does -2 bravery across the board. You kind of think about that and you go, it doesn't sound that big a deal. But then they start going it through that list of spells and you realize, oh, that bravery bomb is going to be doing a lot more because there's spells that stop you from doing things if you fail a bravery thing.
Yeah.
So they've got lots of little spells which are actually really beneficial.
Yeah, and it's really hard. Okay, so the Wardens have got Speedy Heesh cast on them from tech list, another 10. That's going to double their movement. They don't forget that I think that they've also managed to cast it to empower their weapons. We'll double check that in a moment. If they haven't, that's going to be really clutch. That's probably going to be the most important, I would argue.
Yeah, they really need that spell, I think. Because they just need to have as much output as they can get this turn.
Yeah. And they have empowered their weapons using the Twin Stones. They've empowered it, because that would have been the one I would try to unbind actually. Because as soon as you make it so that mortal wounds, so it's mortal wounds on 6s to hit, unless you empower them, in which it's 5s to hit on this unit of Wardens. If you can stop that, because Archaon makes you re-roll your 6s, you can basically neuter the unit. That would be the one.
I think that's why we were talking about earlier. The Haitian Twin Stones are really powerful, and why Matt's how he's cast his spells this time was really important, because I think he had that Twin Stones up to like a +4. So those Wardens to cast that spell had +5 to cast. So they cast it on a natural 6 and then got +5 to that. So he got an 11 to cast that. So he knew that he'd want to unbind that, saved up his Twin Stones power, and then used that to empower that spell.
Yeah, incredible. Yeah. So but then he's also, because he's done another heavy casting phase, and he's not going towards Archaon like we thought he was going to do at all. He's going instead somewhere. He's going onto all the objectives, which is the right play for points in the right situation. But he's managed to generate another 8 summoning points for Tzeentch. Tzeentch sat on 16 summoning points before their turn. So 20 pink horrors very likely to get on top of the board.
Yeah, that is a lot of summoning points for them. Those Lumineth, those Wardens are now breaking that Shining Company to sort of, I assume to sort of level themselves up for that charge. I think Matt's playing for that double turn again. I think he's just going, you know what, I need this turn. I'm playing for it. Ignore Archaon now and just go for those points. Get that double win. Easy.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what he's going for.
So he's decided to avoid Archaon. Archaon, obviously, at this point is, don't forget, is really, really survivable. He's got that reroll saves. No, he hasn't got reroll saves on him. Oh, no, he has got reroll saves. And he's also ignoring spells as well. So he's decided to take the mid board. Probably the right decision, ultimately.
Yeah, I think ignoring Archaon is the right call. I think if he went for Archaon wouldn't have died. He would have maybe taken 4 or 5 wounds. And then in his turn, just healed back up. Because with the Nurgle Head, so Nurgle Head, you just heal D3 wounds. So whatever Matt potentially would have done this turn, Archaon could have just neutered. So I think he's got to literally commit to Archaon, and I don't think he's in a position this turn to commit that.
No, I don't think he is. And I don't think he could take him out either. So I think this is the right play, here. So he's just pushed aggressively into the mid board, and then he's just going to grab all these objectives. If he gets a good charge, he could put enough bodies on to where the pink horrors are as well, take that back objective. So he's looking to take as many of these objectives. He's also on the double threatening Kairos.
Yeah.
Which is
definitely. Because if he gets speed off again, it kills enough pink horrors, get speed off, and then go for that Kairosa at the back.
Yeah. And thankfully we've got Archaon, the Three-Eyed King, actually in the chat, and he says, the entire army of puny elves couldn't kill me in a single turn. So he's made the right decision.
I mean, yeah, he's not wrong, I suppose. Not wrong at all.
No.
I think what could be a good play here is you could actually, so you put those sharks into Archaon, you put the Cathlar, move him up, but not put her in combat, have her within 6. Archaon then can't target the sharks, and then Archaon's tied up for his next turn.
Yeah. I would probably just not engage Archaon this turn.
I think you tie him up. I think you tie him up with those sharks and make sure the Cathlar is in that 6, because then Archaon can't even hit you. So you use the net launcher on Archeon to stop him from piling in. You then put the Cathlar within 6, charge the Sharks in so that Archeon can't hit them. He then can't pile round to hit the Cathlar. So Archeon's then stuck.
Yeah, this priority roll is going to be so vital. Like, there's going to be so much to go on here. I think like this charge roll is going to be really big. And see where he goes. Is he sat on a CP? He's sat on a CP for a reroll charge. So these wardens on that reroll charge is going to be very, very important. I think they need to make sure that they kill all of these screamers out here. Are they going to try and drop a couple of models onto this bottom left-hand objective and score the points? Because that's worth 3. That's worth more. That's worth more than having captured these 2 on its own. I really wish the Sharks had moved down there earlier on the turn before, grabbed that objective. I think that would have been nice to see. Instead, we're seeing this aggressive mid-board play, and then we're going to see them move over and potentially get into the pinks on the double. But the Warden's also moving up now. And then where's Teclis going to go? Sorry, Sentinels. The Sentinels are also moving up now. And where's Teclis going to go? Because I know Matt likes to keep him alive. And Archeon... I think Archeon's got a lot of board space. Huh?
You've got to be aggressive with Teclis in this game. I think you've got to play Teclis and just you move him forward. In the next turn, you then just throw him into those pinks. And I think you have to play that. I know Archeon can instant kill me, but I've got to take the risk. Also, Teclis in the sword.
We can also see a speed of Heesh put onto Teclis next turn and see him run onto that bottom left-hand objective potentially. But it doesn't count as he only counts as 1 model. So
I think you see those Sentinels now start shooting at those screamers at the bottom there.
Oh, are they in range? Or near the prime objective?
Yeah, I think you potentially move them up, and then because I don't think he's moved them yet. So you move them down that way, shoot off some screamers. In the next turn, launch Teclis that way, and if there's any left, charge them.
That's true.
And use Teclis as a bully piece, like Archeon's being used. Because Teclis isn't bad in a fight, and he's got a lot of output for what he is.
Yeah, which is a wizard with a silly stick. But
yeah, pretty much.
Quick update: Goat Watch. Votes for Goats. He's still alive. Don't worry, everyone.
He's still there.
He's still alive. Now all on his own at the back of the board, living his best life.
As we know, Beast Chaos like being by this edge of the board edge all day, every day.
Brad Pitt Lord, great point. Are we going to see the Kairos dice used to slow down one of those charges? What do you think? That could be really key. He hasn't used it yet. Like, it's a resource. Adam, could you tell us about the Kairos dice, please?
Yeah, so that Kairos dice, once a game, he can use his dice to change any dice roll in the game. So if, for example, Matt rolls a double 6 on his charge, he can turn one of those 6s to a 1. And which means those Wardens, for example, could only use 7. If he rolls, for example, 5 on his charge, he can just change one of those to that 1 and really slow him down. He can use it for anything in the game. Use it for casting, dispelling, and it is such a useful ability. But it's well a matchup, because what a lot of players will do is they'll try and bait out that dice and do something to try and bait out that dice, which is a big deal, but isn't too bad. And now those Sentinels are moving up, and I'm sure I don't know entirely who they're going to shoot. I genuinely thought they were going to go for those screamers at the bottom left, but I think they're either going to go for those screamers in the middle, or they're going to try and do some chip damage to Archeon. Not entirely sure it's worth doing it to Archeon. Honestly, not sure. Because if they do it to Archeon, Archeon's got that 4+ ignore on the mortal wounds. So any mortal wounds that those Sentinels do, Archeon can just bounce them on a 4+. So it's not a regular DPR. It's literally only towards them. And if you target Archeon, any 6s to hit, you have to completely reroll. So, yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. Honestly, not sure what he's going to do here. We're seeing he's measuring over to those screamers, but they are definitely out of range. So, yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. Not entirely sure what he's doing with those Sentinels. He's moved them up towards Archeon. Here we go. We got some shooting. Honestly, no idea what he's doing. Like, he's moved those Sentinels up, and I'm like, are you going to shoot Archeon, or are you just going to sit there? So
they're going to shoot Archeon. It's all going in.
Teclis is shooting Archeon. What are the Sentinels going to do? It's really confusing me, man.
It's confusing me too. I'm not sure. I think what he's trying to do is just. I think he's still relying on the double turn. So he's just. So 1 damage from Teclis so far. 19 to go. Here we go. These are mortal wounds on 5. Pardon me?
Is it worth it going for Archeon, or do you just go for the units? He's measuring up to those blue horrors, so I don't know if he's going for them, because those blue horrors are counting as 2. So they're probably ones that you really want to try and get rid of.
Yeah, but you won't get rid of them because you'll just explode them into brims. It's
yeah.
the same.
Like,
they're all shooting Archeon. Okay, what can 20 Sentinels do? Don't forget, they got.
He's got to re-roll all those 6s to hit.
Yep.
He's rolled a fair few 5s to those mortals, but then Archeon's just ignoring him on a 4+. So I don't know whether this was a good call to go to him.
So 8 mortal wounds so far, but he has to re-roll the 6s.
Yeah, I don't know if he's re-rolled 6s yet. Yeah, I don't think he's re-rolled those 6s. Yeah, there we go. He's now re-rolling them.
Okay, so
yeah,
5 mortal wounds, and then 2 regular saves. So it's going to be nothing. And then he's then going to ignore these mortal wounds on a 4-up. Okay, so he's taken 3 damage. So in total he's taken 4
all this turn.
4 this turn. So he bounced 2 back because if you
I forgot about that.
If you roll any 6s with you ignore the 4-up mortal wound. With the 4-up, when you ignore a mortal wound, you bounce 6s back, you cause mortal wound. So that. Could I just talk how hilarious that is? So basically, he does 3 mortal wounds. He ignores 2, bounces them back into the Sentinels, who then ignore him because of Aura of Teclis. It's just there's some sort of like bullet bouncing.
Both of these armies are just going, I'm going to do this to you, and then he's like, nah, you're not. And then the other army's like, well, I'm going to do this to you, and he's like, nah, mate. So they're both just sort of sat there just going, ah! So
the bounce back of the bounce back, it was negated by the bounce back, is what we saw there.
So we're seeing lots of bounce backs negating bounce backs. Amazing. Cool.
So in the charge phase, so I'm just, if I'm hearing right, the Alapexes have made an 11-inch charge.
And they're going to move 3 into Archeon.
And they're choosing Archeon. So it looks like
I
he's going to go for...
Cathlar is within 6 of that Archeon. So he's not even... I don't think Archeon's going to be able to hit back into those sharks, which then means Archeon's tied up for the next turn.
So the Cathlar is within...
Cathlar is within 6. That Archeon isn't going to be able to hit them.
Thanks, Matt. So we have seen 2 sharks kill Archeon on the stream before, but it was after 40 shots from all of the shots on top. But yeah, Goading Arrogance, a quick reminder for us, Adam. Goading Arrogance on the Cathlar means that Archeon is going to have to try and target the Cathlar, but can't because he has to fight the sharks in front.
Yeah, and because he's net launched Archeon now also can't pile in round either. So it's not even like Archeon can pile round those things, those sharks, and get into the Cathlar.
You broke up there, Matt.
But I think the Warden's made a charge, quite a long charge. Kairos has used his ability to change one of those dice to a 1, so that those Wardens aren't going as fast as they wanted to. And I assume he's measuring over.
Okay, a 9-inch charge has been turned into a 5-inch charge. So Kairos uses once per game ability a special magic dice he holds to change the result of a dice roll. So instead of being able to charge over onto this objective like it looks like he was planning on doing, instead of rolling a 9-inch charge, he can only roll a 5-inch charge.
He can command point reroll it though, if he wants to. He can use command points. I don't think he's going to, but you could still command point reroll it.
Yes, you could.
But is it worth the risk?
No, I see. It's an interesting play because it looks like he was set up to not go into Archeon. I guess he's going to get a free round of combat basically from the Sharks into Archeon. I mean, that's not bad, right? That's not bad.
And it also locks him up in his next turn. So Archeon's not, because Archeon's got no retreat on charge or anything. So Archeon's then now stuck there. If Stephen wins the turn, Archeon can't do anything.
That's true. And Archeon's great in a fight. like really good in a fight. But when he can't fight, I mean, that's rough. That's
Yeah, it's 800 points just sat there going, ah.
and it's basically the whole. It's basically the whole point of the list right now. The Alapexes, they've got their barbed hooks, right? Of the guys on top, but most importantly, it's those ferocious bites. 3 attacks, 3s and 3s, rend 2, damage 2. Now it's going to be 4s because they're fighting against Archeon, who's a demon, and that demon keyword means that they're -1 to hit, so it's going to be 4s and 3s. And they also they get to add +1 to the attack characteristic if the unit's ferocious bites, if it's within 3 inches of enemy models that have any wounds allocated to them.
Yeah, so Archeon has had a wound allocated to him this turn, so those ferocious bites are going to go out to 4 attacks each. So you're going to have 8 attacks with those bites, and those are nasty.
Yeah, really, really nasty. Really nasty. So, yeah, so he's going to end up... So they're going to have an extra attack each. So 8 attacks, hit on force, rend 3... wound on 3s, rend 2, damage 2, going into Archeon. So we might see him take some real...
And Archeon does not like rend 2. I mean, he's a 3 up save or a 4 up save. It's a 3 up save, puts him on 5+ save, which is massive difference. And when you have a piece like that on a 5 up save, those wounds sort of matter more. Does that make sense? Like Archeon will take, he could take a lot here.
It's a great story, like Cold Shoulder's saying. What an evoke as narrative gamers and as a narrative channel. What an evocative story, really. In 2 sharks and a really sad lady stopping a king blessed by 4 different gods from doing anything useful. This is actually, as I understand, as I understand it, this was actually the plot, the unwritten plot for Jaws 4.
I just love how Goading Arrogance is like that sort of chav at the club. It's like, yeah, fight me, but he's always stood behind his mates.
Always stood. The 40-foot fighter. That's what it is, Goading Arrogance.
Stood behind his mate going, yeah, mate, go on, yeah, you walk away, sort of thing. Like shouting all those obscenities at his mate.
So the Wardens have activated first. So this has been their charge, by the way. I think that they've still got a pile-in to do, but we'll double check. So they've activated first. They've still got their pile-in. They've activated by doing the Wardens. Let's make sure that's fine. So they've got their Warden's Lantern and has just done 3 mortal wounds to start off. So I think these Screamers not long for the world. Looking to pile in right here to get to as close as he can to the pink horrors. That's important. That's the way he needs to be going to get closer.
And he looks like he's getting just enough models on that objective to steal that objective off of him, isn't he? And not those Wardens have got a 3-inch reach as well. So even though it looks like he's not got a lot into those Screamers, he's still probably getting a fair amount in just because of that 3-inch range. Yeah,
an additional 1 from the ones that we can see. But
it means he can stretch out and still get quite a lot in. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Still, I mean, I expect to see those Screamers absolutely explode right now. And Matt's done a great job. Let's just compliment Stephen all along. Let's just talk about Matt doing a great job here, not taking the Archeon bait, and then deciding he has taken the bait with the sharks, but that's what sharks do. They take bait.
That was a really good play though with those sharks because he's put it in range of those Cathars. So Archeon's now neutered for a turn.
Yeah, absolutely, and even into the double, the best he'll be doing is fighting into the shark. So, and I think that's a good place.
And actually, Stephen's not got a lot of output in the list. If that makes sense,
anywhere else,
the rest of the list doesn't do a lot.
No, it does almost nothing. I mean, the pink horrors could do some shooting into the Wardens. The Wardens now, though, outside of Teclis's protection, which is important. Yeah, so
and. Also, they're not in Shining Company anymore, so they're not going to be -1 to hit either.
But there really isn't much output that can come out of this army. The only thing that I can really think of is you do 30 shots out of those pink horrors, and if he summons another 30 pink horrors, or another 10 pink horrors, it's another 30 shots. That's 60 shots. So you could maybe paper cut him to death, but not you're still not going to delete the unit. Is the important point. Yeah. What he really needs to focus now, is grabbing these objectives, because Matt's going to do a really great job here of claiming it feels like the 4 central objectives are going to be his. So it's going to bring him back up to 12. It's going to bring him up to 7, 12 to 7. That feels reasonable going into the next turn. And then if he can just keep whittling Archeon down, if he takes Archeon down to half wounds next turn, there's no reason if he gets a priority roll, if he doesn't again pop it another, like just kill him in the next turn. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if Matt gets this double, he can do a lot of damage to Archeon, and it's going to, because Archeon's movement degrades as he takes wounds. So Archeon's not going to be the threat that he once was, because he's not just going to be able to zip around and go wherever he wants. So I think the biggest stat that Archeon moves is his movement. I think that's what Matt needs to sort of focus on, trying to get rid of that, his wounds, just to sort of stop that movement.
Agreed. So we've seen Archeon's taken 4 wounds from the Sharks. Is that what we're hearing? Oh, 4 Screamers have died. 4 Screamers have died from the Wardens, as you can see right there. And they've in return they've murdered 2 Wardens. So like that's okay, and they're demons at the end of the day.
Fine,
so those 2 are going to stick there. They're going to be fine, and they're very comfortable with that. Very, very comfortable. Like that's to be honest, not losing the unit is probably better at this stage. Like I think Stephen will be happy with that. He'll be like, cool, I'll take that. That's fine.
It's not even because lucky thing with Screamers is because they're a demon, they're bravery 10, so losing 4 is still not even taking battle shock. So we know those 2 Screamers are staying there.
Yeah. So listen, Archeon's taken 5 wounds. Yeah, he has got 20 wounds base, so we're now on 15 wounds. The Alapexes are about to activate. That's what we're doing. Millions of years of evolution, perfecting the perfect predator. Can we get them to kill a fantasy dragon with 3 heads, topped by a whiny god?
How many wounds do you reckon? How many wounds do you think?
Ooh, they've done 4 damage so far. 6. Let's say 6 damage. Oh, that was with the bite.
That's with the bite, so that's the big attack.
Yeah,
that's
important.
The rest is probably not going to be doing a lot. So maybe another 2 or 3? Maybe another 2, maybe 3 wounds?
Yeah, 4 damage. Only 4. So he's only taken 9. He's only taken 9. Now, he can't strike back in combat. So those Alapexes are safe. And even if he could strike back in combat, there's still 16 wounds on those. Are they 8 wounds or 10 wounds, Alapexes?
Yeah, they're 8 wounds apiece. There's 16 wounds in that unit.
Yeah. So 3 points to Luminaire. 3 points. Oh, because they didn't take that. They only took the 3. Yeah, so 3 points. 12-6. Priority roll coming in.
Oh,
Adam, tell us what just happened.
So they've just rolled the priority, and Zinch have won it. And Zinch, guess what? They are going to be taking that because they're 12-6 up right now. So there's a 6-point lead anyway. And with this turn, he's going to go up another probably 4 points easy. Mm-hmm. So he's going to be easily on 16 to 6 points now, which is going to be massive for Matt. Matt is probably going to be feeling that. He's not going to be happy with losing that priority.
No, he's played a blinder. He's tried really hard here to make sure he could stop.
He played that turn really well. If he got that double, he would have been in a real fighting chance.
Yeah, really good chance here. I mean, even in this situation, like you say, Archeon and the damage he can bring to bear, Steven's still got to play his heart out to some degree, because he's not going to be able to grab this bottom objective off of Matt. So this is the primary objective, so it's worth 3 points. And he has to do something to stop these Wardens ultimately from moving around. I think that's got to be one of the key things that he does here, and stop them from moving on the objectives. Now, he's lucky in that he's sat on, and will be sat on in a minute, a bunch more fate points. So he could put another unit of blue horrors on one of these back objectives and screen with the pink horrors. That's something I think that maybe I would do. I'd go grab that. That would be a play, because if he just puts them in front of them and then falls out the Screamers out of combat, he can pretty much move block the Lumineth. He can move block the Lumineth so that they maybe can't grab onto these objectives, or they can't do it in numbers that the blue horrors wouldn't be able to outscore them. So I think that there's a play there, and he can do that. Then he can just fight through the Sharks. Is probably his next best play. That's all I can really think now. Kairos has still got his spell.
He's got to deal with that. He's got to deal with that Cathalar. If he doesn't kill the Cathalar, Archeon's not going to attack again.
Can you use it every turn?
Yeah, it's every single turn.
No.
Yes, it's not. I thought it was a once a game, but it's not. So it's not once a game. So if Stephen can't deal with Cathalar, Archeon's literally just going to be stuck there.
Okay, right. So listen, Tzeentch have got the turn, but that means we need to go to the most important Tzeentch unit in the board. Let's go. Goat Watch. He's
Here
alive.
we go.
So the agenda is a 9-inch charge. That's the agenda we've chosen. Goat Watch. Goat is alive. He's ready. He's hiding behind his building. There's some blue horrors over there. He's not too bothered about that. There's a lovely rock he's fancying over there. And, yeah, he's safe. But
he's loving his life, to be honest.
He's having a great time, right?
He's just walking the edge of the board, just like, all right, lads, how's it going? Not really feeling any pressure.
Oh, so we just heard Archeon try to use his Nurgle Bite attack on the Cathalar and failed.
It's going to be massive if he can't kill the Cathalar. If he can't kill that Cathalar, Archeon is going to be literally doing nothing this turn. Absolutely nothing.
Then just run him away. So Gift of Change has just been cast by Kairos. I still think, are they in range of each other? Look at these two magic doms, just like outside of range of each other. Like
it's like, nah, not going too close. Not happening.
So yeah, 30 inches. So 30 inches to unbind. And then, so Kairos out of range to be able to do.
Do you think Kairos moves up this turn to get into range?
So he's doing it on the Wardens. So he's going to do 6. They failed. So they failed to ignore it, and so they're going to take a flat 6 mortal wounds. Wow, what a play! Putting that spawn on the bottom objective. Or is that what he's going to do, or is he going to make it?
Yeah,
so
they
have to move?
you kill those Wardens, then you get to place that spawn anywhere within 3 of them, don't you?
Yes.
So that spawn could go literally anywhere within 3 of that unit.
Yeah.
So putting it down by that objective could be a play, but what you could do is just leave it there and just sort of make the Wardens deal with it. I'd probably put it somewhere where you can't get very many Wardens hitting it. So if those Screamers do die in the top right, that spawn is still holding up those Wardens.
Yeah. Oh.
Do you think he's maybe putting it in range of the Cathalar?
Oh, is he going to put it within 3 inches there and try and kill the Cathalar?
Yeah, there we
Chaos
go.
Spawn! This is so exciting. This is one of the coolest plays I've ever seen. If I see a Chaos Spawn kill the Cathalar,
that'll be amazing. Yeah, there's no FAQ for it, so.
I don't. As far as I know, that's okay. So it has to be within 3 inches of the unit, and I don't think there's any clarification via an FAQ that he has to. But you know what? I'll go.
Yeah,
I'm
just having a look at the stuff here. We'll have a look, shall we? We'll do the rulings because we know what we're talking about, right?
Yeah. Adam will go. Adam will go look. Bruno, through hope, I think, is how their incoherency. There is a model here. So hold on, an inch. So inside the statues. This statue is a magical statue which you can go inside of. So there you go. So that's how. That's still. So yeah, there you go. Steve the Spawn.
So I've just checked the FAQ, and he can do it.
He can do it. FAQ says yes.
So normally when you summon something like that, you can't put it within 3 of another unit. So like the death stuff. So when you respawn death things, you can't put it within 3 inches of a unit that's not in combat with you. But that has been FAQ'd, and this one hasn't been apparently. So more GW rules that kind of.
This is such a big play. This is so good. The spawn to take out the Cathalar.
Do you think he does it? Do you think he can do it?
Absolutely not. Oh, okay. So we just saw another spell cast and the 4-up ignore from Teclis on the unit of Wardens bounced D3 mortal wounds back and killed the lone screener that we had. Yeah, go on, Steve. That's right. Steve the Spawn back in our hearts. We love Steve the Spawn. Every time Steve the Spawn is summoned, we're over the moon. Like, such a fun little thing. And now this monstrosity of magic and meat has somehow got to fight a very sad lady and protect. It's like it's kind of like Frankenstein and Igor, right? Like Archeon's like, I need service, and they're like, you know, he cries to the dark gods, give me someone to help protect me, and they're like, we've got this goon.
Here's the spawn.
There's this spawn.
We've got this guy spare. We can't really spare any other personnel right now, but we have got a lovely spawn that you can use.
Yeah, would you like this spawn?
So Archeon's now surrounded by goats and spawn.
Yeah.
That is the army that he's managed to amass. You think with Archeon, you know, the leader of the end times, the bringer of, you know, chaos and destruction, he sort of walks up and he's like, yeah, boys, I'm gonna have a massive army, and here's my goat and here's my spawn.
That's so funny. That's so funny. That's a great play. I've loved that. I've loved every minute of that. I want everyone to know that this is great fun. And Stephen, thank you for that play. And this is so much fun. All right,
it.
so we're still in the magic phase for Tzeentch, don't forget. And we're looking Chiron's what a final kick in the teeth. A spell called Geminids has just been cast from Fate Weaver. So that's going to do some great spell. Might do some mortal wounds, but most importantly, -1 to hit. Now, don't forget, Lumineth can just ignore it on a 4+, so they'll see if they roll the 4+. Giving them -1 attack is probably the right play, because they've got 2 attacks each. So dropping that down so it's only 1 attack is probably way better than the -1 to hit.
I think the -1 hit, because Demons of Tzeentch, if you are in range of that hero, you get an extra -1 hit, so you can potentially give himself -2 to hit if he sets himself up right.
Yeah, it's true. That's true. -2 to hit works. I don't know. Like, because then they're -1 to hit with only 1 attack. Yeah, because they still, don't forget the -2 to hit doesn't affect their mortal wound output on 5s. Like, so when they get that spell off, they still do mortal wounds on 5s. So I'd probably reduce how many attacks they've got down, I think.
And I suppose you can just use Aethercourts to give them plus hit as well, right? So you can just sort of ignore those minuses anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, -1 attack seems probably the best shout, isn't it?
Yeah, I feel like -1 attack's the right call in that just half the units output. Oh, and they didn't ignore it. Welcome back to the match. Apologies about that, ladies and gentlemen. Our stream did go down there, so apologies to you all. But if you hit refresh, you guys should be able to keep tuning in and seeing what's going on. So right now, we're just joined back in this fight. So just let you guys know where we are at. We're at the bottom, at the top of turn 3. Tzeentch are having their turn. We're in the hero phase at the moment. We've seen some really big plays. We've seen Kairos do bottle change, do some mortal wounds, and generate a spawn. We've also seen a whole bunch of other spells, but most importantly, we've got up to 20 summoning points. This is turn 3. The current score is 12-6, with Tzeentch going first. Kairos is alive, unwounded. Teclis is alive, unwounded. We've got 20 Sentinels at the back of the board. We did have 20 Wardens earlier, but they're all dead. And then we have this unit of 30 Wardens who are in a tough position. They're taking a load of magical damage, and then we're about to see some shooting come from Pink Horrors. In the movement phase, we've just seen a unit of Screamers fly across the Cathalar, looking to do some wounds to her, and did no damage. Welcome back to the show. And the goat is alive.
Welfare check on the goat.
Vote
He's
for goat.
right.
Vote for goat
He's all
is
good.
what we say.
Do you want to hear some other big news that I've just found out?
Yeah, please.
Owen Jackson is
Yeah.
playing Hearthguard Berserkers, and he's won 19-1. He's done it.
Oh, has he?
Yep.
Amazing.
So Owen Jackson is won his game versus the Fire Slayers. So that's big news of the tournament. We can now leave. Let's go.
Congratulations to Owen. That's great. Also, thank you to Battlechode for donating 2 gift subscriptions in the chat. That's so awesome of you. Thank you. We're back in the room. You guys can hit refresh in the chat. Hit refresh. Make sure you guys know. Not sure what happened with the net. That's a bit of a shame that that's not going to be one VOD. I'm going to have to make Scrivo do some editing because that was...
It's fine.
Wow. Okay, so some other news. So don't forget. So this is round 4 of the Battle of Copenhagen, a 5-round TTS event. Me and Adam are going to be covering the next round in an hour or so, maybe like an hour and a half. So we'll be back. The important point is there's loads of really cool armies, potentials to win, 2 Tzeentch forces, a Nurgle force, a Lumineth Realm Lord force, and a Khorne force. We'll find out before the next match starts exactly who's still vying for. We're going to be watching the 2 people vying for the top spot probably in the next match. It could be one of these 2 forces. There's still loads to play for in this match, and it could be any of the aforementioned. However, looking down at some of the bottom tables, we just talked about Owen with his Khorne force beating Hearthguard Berserkers, but there's also a bit of a legendary list here. 18 units of 5 Bladegeist Revenants. Didn't have the best go yesterday, Adam. They went 0-3, no wins, 3 losses. However, we've just heard from our table boss a big win just come in for Bladegeist Revenants. They took a win this morning.
Bottom table meta, boys. Let's go,
baby.
They're in it now. They're the real winners here. Just have a look at the rest of the board and seeing what's going on. And there's not a lot of results in at the moment, so there's still a lot of games to be played still. I know Matt Mallow is still playing. He told me just now that he got charged by 20 Ard boys that are buffed up and took 5 damage.
Yeah,
his Stone Guard just went, yeah, lol. Nah, not happening, mate. So I think Matt's enjoying that game. And yeah, this game's pretty cool though, right? We've had loads of stuff here. Have you seen these on 20 fate points?
I have seen it. I think what we'll see is we'll see some pink horrors put into that bottom left-hand objective come from Kairos. Now, Kairos moved aggressively forward up, as have the pink horrors. So I think what they're going to look to do is just do as much as humanly possible, well, as demonly possible. That's not the right way to put it. Into these wardens. So all of the shots from.
I was going to say, so Matt just said that he's looking to summon the some pink horrors from Kairos 9 inches away from these wardens, and then use his Destiny dice to auto charge into those wardens and take that primary objective.
That's some great resource management there from Stephen. Keeping that 9-inch there so that when he summons in the unit, he can auto-generate the charge for a late-game play is a phenomenal
not forgetting his agenda for this turn is to make that 9-inch charge. So if he makes that auto-charge with those pinks, they're going to be getting +1 attacks as well.
Which is, I mean, pathetic because they're terrible in a fight. But, like, it's useful for them.
It's still weight of dice, isn't it?
Of course it is. And also, most importantly, he puts 10 pink horrors on an objective. Also, because he's neutered with Geminids, that unit of Wardens, they just don't have as much output. So they're going to be really good. So some great resource management from Stephen. That's really, really good. Super excellent. Our man Owen in the chat. We're looking for that 4-1 submarine, Owen. Come on.
Go on, Owen.
Let's
I
go.
believe in you.
Yeah, let's believe in you. But also, Owen Jackson also joining us on the tabletop here because his Archeon is right there. He's on that base.
He is.
He's on that base.
Maybe let's not remind Owen of that. I'm sure it still is a little bit painful to him. And we love Owen too much to bring up those old wounds. All right. So
let me just take everyone through the board and see so you can see what's happening now. Archeon is engaged in a fight. The Archeon is engaged in a fight with 2 Alapexes. However, Goading Arrogance Cathalar right here is holding Archeon up, and so he can't pile in an attack into the Sharks. Archeon down to 11 wounds. The big play, though, is we saw Kairos do Bolt of Change into the Wardens, generating a spawn. That spawn got to the Cathalar at the back of the board. It was a good play. We're waiting to see if the spawn can kill the Cathalar. That's what we're hoping for because...
Come on, spawn.
Come on, spawn. The Wardens are still alive. Tekla's still unwounded. We're at the top of turn 3. We're still waiting for Lumineth to get their 3rd turn in. And we are 12-6. The summoning points are gone. He spent 20 of his summoning points to bring on those 10 pink horrors.
And those pink horrors, he's got Destiny dice in his pockets. He's got 5 and a 4 to make that auto 9-inch charge as well. So those pink horrors are 100% getting on that primary objective this turn.
Yeah, it's so good. Shelf Loathing's made a really good point in the chat. With new Lumineth coming out, goading Arrogance on a tougher hero like the one of the fancy mounted fighter heroes that we're seeing come out could be really unpleasant. That's a really good point.
Yeah.
That's
going to be really good because at the moment you can only put it on the Cathalar or the Stone Mage. So you can only put it on 2 characters that are actually they're not particularly tanky, but you at the moment you're using it for that tech of not being able to strike anything else. But if you have it on a bigger character, you might be able to put it on him and still throw him into combat and know he's not going to be able to get hit, but everything has to hit him.
Yeah, so fun with what we can do. Excited. So the shooting phase from the 2 units of pink horrors didn't do any damage. Not forgetting this unit of wardens, they've got a 4-up ethereal save, re-rolling 1s from Mystic Shield, and they've also got a 5-up DPR coming in from Teclis, so they are very, very tanky. However, is this a mistake now? Can he not use the transference, the emotional transference from the Cathalar onto these horrors?
He's not going to be in range, is he? So he's not going to be in Holy, because you've got to be in range of the wardens to do that 2-up anyway. Right. I don't know if he's going to be in, and then
is it Holy within 18? Yeah, it's not. It's not in. It's not in. Yeah. So don't worry, it's not an issue. And then he's using that pink horror charge to move out over there. But it's gonna be interesting to see who's closer, the pink horrors or Archeon. Pink horrors. So he is going to be able to make those wardens come off the objective if they want to pile and attack the pink horrors, which he should not do. He should not pile off the objective. They definitely don't want to do that.
Definitely doesn't want to do that.
And then we might also see this other unit of pink horrors if they manage to pile in. So the summoned pink horrors have got a 9 with the destiny dice. They're grabbing. There we go. They're going to grab that objective off there. That's a huge swing in points. It's going to be 3 points compared to a normal 1 point, which means at this turn, Lumineth are only holding this central objective with the 2 Alapexes and then this unit of wardens. Of course, the Cathalar's in as well, but they don't have to worry because
that is going to be a huge point swing because Steven's going to score a lot of points now. He's going to score 7 points for this turn, which is going to put him on 19-6. 19
combat
points
phase.
6.
Combat phase. There's only one thing we call about. Spawn. Let's go
Here we
Spawn.
go.
I need love for Spawn in the chat. Steve the Spawn, give me all the love. He generates 2d6 attacks. 2d6, go big. He's gone for 7. 7. If he'd have rolled a 12. So it's 4s and 4s.
No. Oh, he's only hit with 2. He's only wounded with 2.
Steve. Steve,
Come on,
you
man.
hilarious gangster.
And it looks like he saved 1. He saved both of them with protection.
Oh.
Okay, Spawn's done absolutely nothing. So the hero we thought we needed, he's not done it.
He's probably very confused. He probably got over there
and
saw she was crying, and he was like, "What am I here for? This is so sad. Like, I can't be involved in this." He tried his best.
Sat down. They both just sat down. They're talking to each other. They're going through their emotions now. They're like, "So what's going on with you?" And she's like, "I don't know."
So, just let you guys know, 2d6 attacks, and he's got an ability where if you happen to roll a double when you roll how many attacks he does, then he ends up with +1 to hit and wound rolls. So he would end up with, if you roll a 12, your best version is you roll a 12, and then those attacks hit on 3s, wounding on 3s, and they do damage 1. Now, very, very unlikely you would have ever killed him, but it's not impossible, and such an amazingly cool
So what we're saying
play.
here is Kairos should have kept his ability to change the dice.
100%. 100%.
Just for this one single situation, and that is the whole game plan we're in now.
Yeah. Although I think, technically, I think you have to change both d6s, but that's a different conversation. Like, it's fine.
Whatever.
Yeah. Hey to Mandoli's in the chat, and also to everyone in the chat, thanks for joining us. There is another round later, so there will be another round in about an hour and 10 minutes time. There's only actually 10 minutes left on this round. So
I don't think they need. I think this game is going Zinch way, especially after this turn with that extra 7 points. It's going to be 19-6. I'm not sure with all the luck in the world that Lumineth are going to be able to pull this because he's now blocked in. He's not going to be able to score enough objectives. I just don't see it. So
he's not going to kill. He's not going to kill enough either. The important point is though that probably 15 to maybe 20 points of the summoning. So maybe that entire unit, Pink Horrors, has come from the Lumineth.
Yeah.
Like,
so those Lumineth have been literally fueling that summoning. And I mean, there's 100 wounds in that middle board now. In that middle board, there's 100 wounds of Pink Horrors.
Yeah, 100 wounds. Yeah, who are just like... Who also, and another point to point out, he's got 2 command points. So he's still got enough for Inspiring Presence, or even if he puts up the spell that doubles the amount of CP, then it's still enough to stop one of those units from taking any damage. And also, where's that damage even really going to come from? Geminids has hit the Wardens too hard. Like, they've been... that was the really interesting thing about the Wardens, is when you... Oh, wow. Okay. So, one of the things about the Wardens is, like, when you see them as a block of 30 engaged in that kind of that phalanx, and then you know that they're all charging into unit and they all kill them, then that's fine. But because they're used so much, at least by Matt in this match and other matches I've seen, they're used so much for board control and grabbing objectives that they actually are really they don't get to bring all of that force to bear across most of the board. So it's kind of interesting. They haven't really been used as a big fighting block, and instead have been used to move across the board a lot more. Not sure why.
I think he has to spread them out, though, doesn't he, to get those objectives? I think that's the main issue. He has to move them around. And that's the problem with that 30 block. You have that 30 block, but that's 360 points sat there. And when you've got 660 sat in Techless, that is your next biggest thing. And you have to use them as effectively as possible. And if you keep them in that centre block, they're not taking enough board space up. So he has to spread them out.
Yeah. So combats now. We saw the Wardens attacking to the spawn, and he'd taken a wound, which was cheeky. And between the 2 units of Pink Horrors, we saw 3 more Wardens go down. Now, they're just, the summoning has been so key in this game. So key.
Yeah, it's been massive.
Yeah. Apparently, Steven says he's getting flashbacks to last time Archeon had to fight the sharks.
Yeah, Steve's Archeon does not like sharks.
He
is not enjoying sharks.
He's like, why is it always sharks every time? So he's taken another 4 wounds from combat from the Alapexes. Still not dead, though. 13 wounds, 7 wounds left. Still alive, ready to fight. So we'll see if he's able to... He's not going to even be able to attack back, right?
Yeah, he can't attack back because of the goading arrogance on that Cathalar, and because the spawn didn't do didn't kill the spawn. Archeon's now sat there going, "Yeah, no, I can't do anything." Oh, yeah, whoops.
It's nuts. So yeah, we'll see where this ends up ultimately. I think this is looking like it's very clearly Tzeentch's game at this point. Adam, would you say?
I mean, he's not. Yeah, 100%. 100% Tzeentch game. I mean, I don't really know what Tzeentch has actually lost this game. I think he's lost 9 Screamers the whole game.
A unit of 3 Screamers and a unit of 6 Screamers is actually... No, actually, he didn't do... Yeah, so the unit of 4 Screamers actually flew over, if you look.
Yeah.
So he's actually
lost 6... So he's lost 7 Screamers this whole game. And
Tzeentch has lost 7. Yeah. That's
more.
The power of that bully piece, right? It was just everything was out of range, apart from Archeon. But do you know who didn't die? Goat Watch.
Oh yeah.
There he is. There he is.
Chef on the goat.
I want this goat. I want them to play Lumineth, and then he can put the goat in the boat. That's what I want to see.
That would be great.
So we've got 19 points right now. 19 points to Tzeentch, and I think that is the death knell. That is all over. So yes, so secondaries. So there are secondaries to play for, looking to see if they can kill Archeon, but with only 5 minutes left on the clock, the guys aren't going to have much time to finish this. So that is the game, 19-6, 19-6, and all done there, Adam. Lots to unpack there. I mean, the board's still to play out, but the guys have only got 5 minutes, so they're not going to get to like maybe Archeon goes down, maybe he doesn't, and we can give you some conversations later about what happened. But Adam, come back to us now. What do you think of the match? Talk to me about it.
It was really, really good. It was really interesting to see that those sort of plays between the two armies, because both armies had tech to counter each other. Mm-hmm. So obviously you saw Teclis being able to auto-unbind things with the 4+ ignore and spells, Tzeentch being able to auto-unbind Teclis, with having that sort of, that almost both having magic dom in a weird way. So they both sort of had it, and both were cancelling each other out, which is quite an interesting thing to see. But I think Matt, I think he shouldn't. He was so scared of Archaon that turn 1. He deployed so far back that he potentially should have deployed more forward and just taken the hit.
Yeah,
I think that was the mistake.
Archaon just bullied. Archaon just bullied him into like that defensive play that he never really ever got out with. He didn't threaten the middle board ever, like until like that middle turn. Now, to be fair to him, the priority rolls never went his way, but then that would have been the dreaded double to get Teclis out of the position that they ended up in as well. So I feel like maybe some aggressive early play and maybe just force Archaon to just be like, just take it on the chin, be like, Archaon's coming over, fine, because the combo with the Cathalar and so if he'd have just taken it on the Wardens, let's say, early on, the combination of the Cathalar and the Sharks that we saw being used so effectively later, he could have just applied, and then it would have been in the same position, right? So that's very, very interesting. I think a fascinating game you could unpack. Both players played really, really good Warhammer.
They really played, like, some of the skill, like the tech that you saw, like the spawn coming out of Kairos to try and clear the Cathalar. Those blue horrors being spawned and being counted as 20 models because they took it off and got the agenda. We saw like the tech with the Sharks going to Archaon and Cathalar stopping the all that. It was just, there was lots of little things that got played in this game that was just really interesting to see.
Yeah, really, really, really fun game. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I had a great game, like loads you could unpack from this game. Like just a fascinating game. I really, really enjoyed it. Long live Steve the Spawn is all I'm going to say. And of course, the GOAT survived till the end, which was what we really... Yeah.
He smashed it.
He smashed it. He did a great job. Really excited. So in an hour's time, we'll be back. More than likely following Steve's game again, because he'll be through to... So he'll be into the next bracket now, having won 4 games. Now, the other potential armies that he might be up against, Nurgle, all Blight Kings, another Tzeentch force, and of course a Khorne force. So we don't know how those matches have panned out yet.
We could have an Archaon off.
Yeah, we could have an Archaon off. So you guys are brilliant. Thank you for tuning in. Adam, you've been great. Adam's going to be joining me again for commentary in the next game. We're really looking forward to it. Our table boss has been Matt. He's been feeding us all the information. He's a legend. Thank you so much. You guys have been great. Adam, an hour's time. Let's get some lunch. And I'm thrilled to see what the next match is going to be.
Let's do it. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be really good. Right, you guys have a good... Take a lunch break. Come back in an hour. And we're going to have a great time. See you guys soon. Bye.